That could be against Jacob.
Welcome back, everyone. Sorry I didn't stream yesterday. I just wasn't feeling it. But let's finish up the top 4 of Nationals. I'm really curious to watch the Gravy, Bones, and Verdance games because those are the 2 decks that I'm planning on learning going into Worlds. So I have a few more decks under my belt that I can play. Yeah, I think nothing else really to say. Let's just jump into it. I want to go back to sorting my cards. Feel free to ask me questions as you guys filter in. Kind of an AMA hangout yap session.
Lance, for the first time we're seeing.
Let me know if there's any audio issues or problems, and I can adjust things.
Gotta feel good for him. Meanwhile, we're gonna kick things off on the Jacob Shaker side. Gold baited hook is the start here because of that golden tipple, which will go ahead and get a free roll on this. Of course, Jacob will look to defend here.
Round 6,
Golden
Gem.
Tipple effectively giving Jacob Shaker a free use of the golden hook, and outcomes called to the grave already, so that will be a blue that will go to the yard to turn on Gravy Bones' ability. Already has 1 ally in the yard, gonna be the promise of a second one, thanks to Call to the Grave, and has his choice.
Coming down. Interesting ally here.
Very, very strong in this matchup.
Let me just go back 1 sec. I was adjusting my lighting. So turn 0.
Of Warmonger's diplomacy in this deck. We saw how backbreaking
Put
that
the mic
could be
up
against Jacob Lance. For the first time we're seeing him on coverage. Doesn't need to face down that card.
I'll move my mic a little bit closer. Try that. Because I think I have my mic on max.
Gold baited hook is the start here because of that golden tipple, which will go ahead and get a free roll on this. Of course, Jacob will look to
How's that now? Can you hear me? Let me check. I think the back of the mic has some settings.
Tipple effectively giving Jacob Shaker a
Nope, my mic is on max on the back also.
Outcomes called to the grave already, so that will be a blue that will go to the yard to turn on Gravy's ability. Already has 1 ally in the yard, gonna be the promise of a second one, thanks to Call to the Grave.
Okay, so turn 0.
Coming down. Interesting ally here.
Make a gold.
In this matchup in particular because of Death Dealer's effect. Death Dealer does say draw
Play
a
2
card
guys,
wants
pass.
to load with it.
Oh my god, it's messing with my brain, the fact that Jacob plays left-handed with his board. All my reverse foils are currently actually listed on TCG Player, so if there's anything specific that you're looking for, let me know and I can just take it down. Or you can just go in there and buy it. Outside the Box Gaming on TCG Player. I guess I can throw a link in chat. Gotta figure out how the fuck to do that, though. Go to TCG Player. I guess I won't watch Pay Money Wubby anymore. KW. I don't know, what's a card that I just listed? Tip the Barkeep, I guess. This is the only way that I know how to post this. This is, let me know if that works. Right now I'm just sorting the common bulk because I have all the commons listed and it's going to be a pain in the ass to thumb through with it all not sorted. What was I saying, though? Okay, so Jacob went, turn 0, make a goal. Oh yeah, it throws me off that he plays left-handed. So pitch a blue, play Tipple, call the grave another guy, costs 3 money to play these guys, so we crack our chest so we can put 2 guys on the board. Yeah, it's a really good strong opening. And then also we have an Anka, which is really annoying for Azalea to deal with because of the Death Dealer. You can kind of trade for the card they draw off of Death Dealer with it.
Can effectively just deny that card draw.
And then activate Quiver just to filter.
Load into Arsenal without activating Death Dealer. Cards like Take Aim come to mind. Cards like Codex of Bloodrot come to mind. Might need to be relying on some of those pieces so that he doesn't get juiced by this Anka.
Jacob took a shot at Quiver there, picked up a 4 red hand. bunch of pumps and a Heat Seeker.
Yeah,
Little
prior
bit
to
off.
this game, actually, me and James Silver, were actually just sitting with Jacob for like an hour or something, just spamming Azalea games with him, just to help him figure out the matchup a little bit more. Just, you know, get some practice in before his top cut game. We like us Hydraing the matchup could not take a single game off of Jacob, and it was not even like, oh, we couldn't take a game off him. None of the games were even remotely close. I think this matchup was incredibly doomer. It was much worse than I had initially, my initial impression of the matchup was, but obviously wasn't playing against Jacob's list when I was testing prior to the event. If I'd known it was that bad, that would have been even more reason for me to not play Azalea, but I already was off the deck, so it wasn't really an issue for me. But yeah, like, the velocity in which Jacob was spamming allies onto the board was such an issue for the deck. We basically couldn't race him, and if we spent our time clearing, Jacob was so good at redeploying 2 more allies every single round, where it was just kind of a fruitless effort.
And I think that Death Dealer is, in fact, going to have to get activated here. So now priority passes back to Jacob Shaker.
Looks like
Lets it go.
he did not have a carded Watery Grave to discard, you have to imagine, otherwise he would have just snapped that off.
No,
And
it's not an
Jacob
auto
Lance
snap on
is
the Unk, because you're just trading a card for a card there, so you might... I think more frequently I value discarding the card to the gold for my hero power from the Gravy POV than denying the Azalea a card. I'd rather just make sure my engine is working than deny the Azalea their engine. If I have 2 allies, I probably fire that off because I don't want the second ally since I can only hero power once. But I don't think the Unka is like, just snap activate it every single turn. When we were playing against Jacob, he very rarely ever actually activated the Unk.
to make. Do you just buff this Heat Seeker up to sky high and send it to face, or do you clear one of these allies?
It already feels like a tough call, but it is Jacob Lance going ahead and firing that Heat Seeker at the Anka. And we're going to get Heat Seeker trigger here. It does trigger on the allies. Amplifying arrow loaded up. That's a neat little interaction that Jacob Lance can take advantage of.
And he's arsenaled right next to it, a pump as well.
Charting the high seas
Oh,
here
dang it.
is Jacob Shaker. Does get the resources, does not get the gold.
Hey, Josh. Welcome to the stream. What is my thoughts on the ally heavy versus not ally heavy? Is the not ally heavy the, like, Yuki version? I don't have a big opinion on it yet since I haven't put that many games into Gravy yet. My initial impression on it, though, is I would prefer to be the ally heavy one. But you're also talking to, like, guy that basically only played Big Dragon Dromai and never played much of the Red Line. I preferred the Big Dragon version. I think my real reason for that, though, other than, like, a bias, would be I think the deck is really strong when you're getting to hero power every single turn. I just want to be looking at more and more cards and just be more consistent than my opponent is. And, you know, obviously easier to do that when you're playing the big ally version. But I could see the other version being pretty good, too. Yeah, there's certainly a bias there, but also, like, talking about the strategy of it, why would I prefer to do that version, you know? Because man, my lighting keeps going yellow. What the fuck? Let me just adjust my lighting real quick. Maybe I need to put the camera light on. There's a deck I used to play in Force of Will. I used to play that competitively years ago. And it was called Refrect Refrain. The way that Force of Will worked is you could play any hero, and then the card pool for your deck, I don't believe was restricted to the color identity of that hero, so you just play whatever you wanted. It was just, obviously, if your hero cared about specific colors, you needed to make sure the mana base of your deck supported that. And one of the heroes was a colorless hero, and it kind of worked like the reverse of Commander, where you would start with your commander in the command zone and then put it into play as a creature. I'm sorry. It worked the reverse of a planeswalker in the command zone. Is that no? God, I'm doing a bad job explaining this. Basically, you would have your hero in the command zone, and then you would fulfill a condition, which was usually just paying mana, and then you would put your commander into play, and it would flip over into a creature. Like it did something different on the other side, but it was usually a creature on the other side. Reflect, refrain. God, I can't talk today. Did not operate like that. It was functionally a planeswalker on both sides of the card, and it had 3 abilities on each side. And it had like a loyalty counter system, kind of like Planeswalkers did, which was very unique for the game. Nothing else worked like that in Force of Will. Importantly, what that hero did was just add a lot of consistency to your deck. It had a lot of card filtering. Like one of the abilities on it was you would add a loyalty counter to it to draw a card and then put a card from your hand on. I think it was the bottom of your deck, but it might have also been the top. It's been a long time. I don't quite remember, but it let you see extra cards. Gravy kind of does a similar thing, where similar to Reflect, or RR as we called it, because of Reflect Refrain, it didn't attack, it wasn't a creature. Similar to Gravy, he doesn't have a weapon. So, but to compensate, you had this added extra consistency with the hero and a lot of options. It gave you a ton of options. Gravy really, really reminds me of that. Just this really versatile card filtering and options ability on a stick was really powerful. Long tangent to say, I'm inclined to play the more ally heavy one because I want that extra card filtering. Yeah, you can always give me crap. I don't give a shit.
But is a blue that went to the graveyard. Gravy Bones is turned on, however, doesn't have another ally, I believe. Played both of them on turn 0. Needs a way to get another ally there if he wants to make.
I'm surprised he didn't look at the top here to make sure he was going to hit a blue, and then if he wasn't hitting a blue, crack a gold to draw it.
In hand, does Jacob Shaker. Good time to have that with 2 cards loaded up in Jacob Lance's arsenal.
He just didn't compass at all this round.
A little bit of the awkwardness can sometimes come if you give Gravy a big hand. He wants to get value from his ally, the Rigor Mortis that's on the field, but he has to choose either that or the Command and Conquer. It goes back to the action point starvation that we've talked about when it comes to Gravy.
Why did Jacob do that? That was a really interesting way of sequencing it. I think it was really subtle, but like the level 0 is always compass first thing you do every round, which is usually incorrect. You don't want to compass if you're going to hero power, because if you're always going to hero power, there's no value in looking at the top of your deck, because you're just going to draw that card anyways. It doesn't change anything. But he played out a Rabble first. He played the Rabble, then he hero powered. I think peeking after hero power makes sense, but why did he play the Rabble before anything else? It's not like he needed the blue for his hero power, because he already played a chart. What would the reasoning be for that? I'm very confused. Maybe he's not... He hasn't discarded yet, right?
In Jacob Lance's arsenal.
Oh, he drew off of gold, not hero powered.
Value from his ally, the Rigor Mortis that's on the field.
He hasn't hero powered yet. Wouldn't it make sense to compass, then crack gold if you want that card, or compass, then rabble, then crack gold? I don't understand the sequence of events.
But he has to choose either that or the Command and Conquer. It goes back to the action point starvation that we've talked about when it comes to Gravy Bones. It's a conundrum that Gravy needs to solve.
Feels like Jacob is getting quicker, more confident as the weekend plays out. I spoke with Jacob. He's actually not crazy about his deck. He thinks there is a lot he could have done better, which sounds pretty wild given his position currently in this tournament. He says he has virtually no sideboard for this event, just doesn't like any of his sideboard options, and is just presenting the same cards over and over. loot the hold coming through here. That's disruption, and it's going to be followed up by even more disruption.
Yeah, I'm really surprised Jacob wasn't playing Swells in his list.
Light disruptive deck in the form of Gravy Bones.
And I think the Command and Conquers are ass in his deck.
We also spoke about being action point starved. Also doesn't look that way thanks to the blue flying high that Jacob Shaker has opted to bring it in his matchup.
And I think he should have been playing one Tip the Barkeep in the deck, or some other form of making a gold kiss, like Sea Legs. Just one singular way to bank an action point for a future turn so he can have a big turn when he needs it. I don't think I want multiples of it, because it's not a card that I want to resolve multiple times.
Got a reset, but a small win for Jacob Shaker, I would say.
9 life behind as Jacob lands as he passes over full tempo over to the Gravy Bones.
Jacob Shaker picked up a boat.
I do like a lot of how he constructed his blue base, though. It was designed in such a way to make sure that when his opponent is clearing his board, he can just keep redeploying his hand every turn. You're not going to IP me. I'll just keep playing 2 allies every round.
Means the boat is live this go around.
Oh, so good. Baited him into blocking.
The hook will not get blown up.
I think from the Azalea POV, you know there's more attacks coming. Just let him have the goddamn gold. Who cares? Every time the hook was on the tipple, it was always bait. It's either a ship or a Command and Conquer. Like this always means that I'm spreading out on hits, so I have something else that I want to hit you with that's more important than a gold. So this is just always bait. Or I'm spending my entire turn playing allies, and this is the only time I'm going to hit you this turn. But I think that is less frequent than I have another on hit behind this, and it is significantly more punishing when that happens. Like, him getting a gold is not as big of a punish as, ah shit, now I have to block with my whole hand and I don't have a turn anymore.
Hit of an extra gold. So respecting the on-hit is Jacob lands.
Yeah, like, I'm not really seeing anyone else playing Flying Highs. It seems like a lot of people are cutting that, but I think that card is pretty good.
These early turns from Jacob Shaker's back-to-back disruption on his side, doing a Bravo cosplay, if you will.
Yeah, he's 3 of the CNC effects down, though. 50% of the available effects in his deck.
And looking at Jacob Lance's hand, he doesn't have enough block. That hand blocks a total of 7, Brian, and he doesn't have...
See? Got baited. Got baited. Could have blocked 8 on this. Nope, we already blocked here, so now we have to give up on this. Now we just lose everything, and he still gets a gold. I think sometimes it's correct to block the hook, but when I see a really easy block on the hook, like a small go-again attack, it's just always bait.
Equipment that blocks either, unless he wants to give up the tunic. And remember, Conqueror of the High Seas.
Tip the Barkeep also being a 3 block is nice.
Will attack both Arsenal cards.
It just my thing with the Gold Kiss is it seems like there's a lot of slow matchups where just having a few ways in the deck to like bank an action point for later is nice, especially for your big Humperdinck rounds. Just I'm gonna go Humperdinck plus some other shit, and just kind of overwhelm them is pretty important. Because they're leaving you with a fat hand a lot of the times anyways, because they're just trying to kill your board. So just like into the deck's trying to fatigue you, I think having 1 Gold Kiss in play is nice. It's like the same idea as having a Time Snap Potion, but this is a Time Snap Potion that has go again when I play it, and when I don't want it, it blocks for 3. And theoretically, I can put it back in the deck, so there's no reason to play more of them.
A gold for each card destroyed to boot.
Yeah, and no blocks here. It is just going to be the card given up. But Jacob Lance has a decent
yeah, but it's pretty unreasonable for you to put the steel gold cards in your deck. Also because they're only good in that scenario, and you have to have less gold when that happens.
Arrow that he sent to the Rigor Mortis, still destroying a card and giving Jacob Shaker an extra gold, which he uses immediately to refill that arsenal.
With that Tunic at the ready, though, I like Jacob's setup here. No Anka to worry about. That means Tunic is going to be able to go ahead and use this Death Dealer. Loads up an endless
arrow, I forgot
picks
the hook can steal it.
Amplifying arrow.
I don't know if I give a shit about that, but
not the best draw there. Was really.
I don't care about them having a gold.
Mix here. Although it is a Codex of Blood Rod, actually. I'm sorry, I thought that was a frailty at first glance. So not bad at all. We're gonna go ahead and respin though. Look for something fresh. It is a release the tension, so an additional pump available.
And Codex of Blood Rod lets him load the arrow, the amplifying arrow, from his hand into the arsenal, despite Death Dealer already being used. 3-card hand from Azalea here, still very, very strong. Coming in for a total of 10 no D-Rex.
I'm honestly surprised that he was playing the amplifying arrows with the blood rots. Like, kind of a nombo. Like, I would rather this just be a pump.
From Arsenal, also the promise of the Seek and Destroy on hit as well.
Like, calling the big guns would have been sick instead.
Yeah, and Jacob
it's still really nice to have the Codex of Blood Rots versus Prism, but
damage. That has me questioning what he's going to offer on his turn.
Is it more Arsenal disruption, or did he even have a choice, or was he holding a bunch of allies and just simply couldn't block? Looks like 2 allies in the hand.
Yeah, and 2 blocks on top of it. Look, this Gravy Bones deck does not defend well. It does have weaknesses, folks. And it seems like there's a
sure, it defends poorly, but this turn is sick. If there's a hand to not block with, I think this is it.
I believe 22 non-blocks in Jacob Shaker's list.
This might be a Crack Boots turn.
Like this will be seen.
And a fair number of 2 blocks as well that we're seeing already, these golden tipples. We pull them in our treasure packs, Brian. They do block 2, though.
Dead Threads contributes a resource here. Hook is going to be active because of the golden tipple, and we're loaded up on allies.
Okay, so we're not cracking boots here because we put the hook on the tipple.
Effectively pitchless tanks to
See, this is the other version where you hook the tipple because that's your only attack for the turn.
Jacob Lens this time just takes it, recognizing he can't keep Jacob Shaker off the gold anyway. He already had 3. What is an extra piece?
You know, Pankaj, we said only the 3 D-reacts in the form of blood in the water in this deck, but there is also Throw Caution to the Wind, another prevention effect that Jacob Shaker has access to and has found it here with this draw.
Interestingly, Jacob lands sporting 2 copies of Murkmire Grapnel. Interesting inclusion. You would think Azaleas have gone down on the card ever since Enigma's ascension to LL, but of course, Prism still exists, and Murkmire Grapnel good against that. Maybe he brought it in here as well because of the Throw Caution to the Wind.
It's possible. There you see the Throw Caution to the Wind.
More filtering on Jacob Shaker's side.
It's so nice when your opponent's just like giving you all the gold, because then you can just start cracking the gold to draw.
Will help with that. You can just pitch a Blood Rod before the Seek and Destroy effect to at least convert your hand a little bit, if you have no other ways to.
Because each of the gold is worth like at least a third of a card.
Thing producing some more resources. No ally headed to the bin off that one. Worth noting, Jacob Shaker under Seek and Destroy this turn, so really does want to use up all the tools. Not quite sure what's in the arsenal there.
Conqueror of the High Seas.
Oh, it's a boat again, of course. Why wouldn't it be? And Jacob finding all of these boats early, and that's exactly when you want to be finding them in this matchup.
And these boats do double duty. You put so much.
Did he block the tipple?
The opponent cannot mount.
Doesn't look like it.
And these boats do double duty. You put so much pressure with just these attacks that the opponent cannot mount the pressure to attack your ally that you're about to resolve. Jacob Shaker is still holding 2 blues here, 3 allies that he can pick from in the graveyard right now to go ahead and resolve.
Including Anka, which we saw potentially have.
There's a world where you just play the Humperdinck.
Checking whether you can pitch a Blood Rod before
opponent is on 2 cards. There's a chance you can't kill this Humperdinck, but that seems loose.
I'll break the chain.
Flying high going to be pitched to enable the last play here. It is Anka going to go ahead and attack with the back of that extra resource.
So no action point remaining after this Anka's attack. So Jacob Shaker wants to use the final blue in his hand to pay for the
$1 short to play the chum also. I guess $2 short because he'd have to boots. Well, he doesn't have to boots.
An arrow and
oh wait, no, he paid $1 to swing, so he could have played.
You know, he has to, so that he can continue to get.
I'm surprised he didn't just play the chum out.
Down to just 15 is Lance, and that life total starting.
I don't think I care about the 2 damage.
All the boats used up.
I'm pretty down to just slam 2 guys.
Win for Lance. Blind Azalea here.
So go fishing, wants to find an arrow, finds a Codex of Frailty. That's a pseudo arrow, I suppose.
Solid find. Gonna go ahead and check the bin here. What's the last card in hand for Lance? Have you seen that yet?
I don't think so. Also, that Arsenal card, I believe, was a random ponder from the Codex of Blood Rot on the previous turn.
Makes sense to me. So Jacob probably gonna be able to go ahead and clean up this Anka at least.
Codex of Frailty is so interesting against a Gravy without an Arsenal. They already want to discard their Watery Grave cards anyway. Just let them discard Watery Grave card and swap it out for an attack action from their graveyard. You said all the boats
were done. This is a good way to
and get back a boat.
This may almost be worse for Jacob Lance here when you go ahead and unlock this ship an additional time, and there it is. Conqueror comes back.
It reminds me quite a bit of what it feels like to play Codex of Frailty against an Earth hero sometimes, where they just put back a felling in their arsenal, and you're like, wait, you're not. That's illegal. I'm supposed to be the one.
Maybe he's trying to save the chum, so that way he can pair the chum with something else and like put his opponent in a weird spot. Or maybe he's only trying to play chum when he knows the Azalea has a big hand. He doesn't want to play the chum if the opponent's on a 2-card hand. That's possible.
Someone in chat, chop that in some way that's in my favor. It's just Ponkage acknowledging that Codex of Frailty is a fair and balanced card.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Everyone heard it, Ponkage.
Like, he could just have a heuristic for the type of board state he's trying to play chum into.
As well. So despite the Frailty, will still be coming in at a breakpoint of 7 with Go again.
Yeah, and Rangers not known for their.
What was that other play that I was uncertain about earlier? Because I want to ask Jacob about that later. Oh, it was the looking at the top one when he had the tipple and cracked the gold. I'm going to ask him about that later.
Plenty of blues, as is usually the case for Gravy Bones.
No blue currently has hit the bin for Shaker. So can't play any allies yet. Give no quarter, though, could potentially help fix that. Mage Master Boots, of course, still available for Shaker.
Unfortunately, no way to get a resource from the dead threads on this turn. Otherwise, you'd be able to do it all. Jacob Shaker's going to have a think here.
Looks like gold being popped. And remember, he did know what that card was thanks to Compass. Drew a blue golden tipple, I believe, and now it's going to be the Conqueror, which both players knew about. Conqueror coming in for 7, threatening almost half.
Is this the third or fourth conk?
It's just been oops all ships this game for Shaker. Time and time again, this arsenal has been challenged. But it's worse than that. It's the damage, and it just claims the whole hand again, and Jacob just holding, treading water. But the problem is while he treads, he's losing life. The allies are doing their job.
Once again, that's the strength of Gravy Bones. You send.
It's pretty reasonable to play this matchup without an arsenal on purpose, actually.
By the opponent's hand and then set up some
Please
allies,
give me back my ships.
meaning your opponent no longer has the offensive output to clear that ally.
So this time he was willing to commit the chum when the Azalea blocked.
So no Mage Master Boost activation here. Jacob Shaker just going for a single ally.
So maybe it isn't a heuristic?
Here is the chum getting in the mix.
Chum can be,
because he could have played the Rigor Mortis out.
Very awkward for Azalea to deal with. Azalea, a deck that does want to provide a lot of priority windows to the opponent, playing a whole bunch of pumps. Chum can sometimes go ahead and disrupt that, where you get to activate its ability after Azalea has played a bunch of pumps already. And with just 1 card remaining in Jacob Lance's hand, I don't believe he can clear out the chum. Because Tunic is not online, so it's just Red Ledger is just 5 with Dominate. Going straight towards Gravy Bones' face.
That's a very blockable number.
Being pretty effective here against Gravy Bones. One action is a hard limiter. We see Gravy take a lot of game actions, Ponkage.
Does he have a D-react in Arsenal or a prevention effect to dodge the Dominate? Looks
No,
like he's going to give up dead threads.
I think this makes a lot of sense. I think you kind of have to here. Otherwise, your turn is basically shut off and you lose all the advantage you've gained by keeping that chum around. So equipment is now gone, but I think it's done its work. And I would say Shaker in a dominant position in this match, keeping chum around for a couple turn cycles, and is going to be able
oh, you know, it's kind of cute. Does that work that way? How does the chest read? Where's my deck? Faster than Googling the card. Can you make the resource on either player's turn or only as an action? It's an instant. That's kind of cute. You could hero power, discard an ally, dead threads, make $1, use that $1 to pay into something like Ironhide or AB.
On this turn.
And the opponent is at 11. This is a time you can just shut the door and force the opponent to just keep giving you cards the rest of the game to block your allies and eventually just overwhelm them. So giving up the death threads there, very, very apt use of that equipment from Jacob Shaker's side.
Rabble revealing Rabble here. 3 damage, headed the way of Jacob Lance, and life total just so precarious right now.
I'm just
Again,
now
it's hard
realizing
to
that they're
think
both
of
Jacob. That's a little confusing.
the big plays that Jacob Shaker has made in this game. Has certainly found a lot of boats, but there's never been those massive here's an ally, here's an ally, here's an ally type setups. It's not like Jacob is struggling to clear the allies for the most part, but it's this incidental damage that comes at you along the way that just makes things so hard to deal with.
It's basically true damage because you have to hold cards to clear the allies, otherwise they just get way too much value. Murderous Rabble and Avasti, both blues hitting the bin as well, so Gravy Bones is online.
And this is defended, but unfortunately, I don't think this is the end
Why
of
is he
the
blocking
allies
this?
for Jacob Shaker.
It's just a gold token, right?
Chum's attack, good go again from Avasti.
I'm very confused why he's
Compass going to
defending
confer
this.
go again to the first Watery Grave card played.
I guess just trying not to
This will
bleed out.
resolve
Just he's at
a
8,
high
can't
attack
really
damage
take
allies,
more
something like
damage.
that Rigor Mortis, and send that as well to threaten Jacob Lance's 8 life points remaining.
Some of it's instant, some of it's not.
Can even think about deploying multiple Rigor Mortises, perhaps, on the back of that Mage Master Boots. But it's just going to take the damage. It is Murderous Rabble once more. Maybe a little bit of a reprieve here. Reveals the yellow. Comes in for 2. Jacob Lance falls down to 6. And what an interesting number to be at, as we expect Jacob Shaker is going to continue this turn. Has the choice of allies. It is, in fact, not the Rigor Mortis. Oh, it is the Rigor Mortis. It's the Marvel.
The Marvel
Rigor Mortis.
version.
Yeah, absolutely grab the Marvel. That makes perfect sense. And it's going to offer 6
Yeah, it's tough that
damage.
you
And
don't like
now
actually
Jacob
have a good
Lance is
decision
out
on
of options.
Lance's side.
Defense must be made.
Without an arsenal,
The game's like
there is an
so
argument to
Jover
maybe
at this
give up a
point.
New
You
Horizon
can't
over
pivot
here.
with this little life.
But again, with just 2 cards remaining, you can only clear 1 of these allies. And Rigor Mortis will stay around to threaten Jacob Lance a following turn. Dropping down to New Horizon is the block from him.
I want to take a look at Jacob Shaker's draw here, because I think whether he finds an ally or not is very important. He finds it immediately.
Really? He has
And
allies in
this
the bin.
means that
Huh?
Chum is now online. And there were some lines available to Jacob Lance had that Chum not been there. But there's a lot more flexibility in Jacob's game plan now.
No pumps. And Jacob Shaker did not respond to the Death Dealer, which was
Well, he
the
had
last
pumps. He
priority
blocked
window.
with them.
Unless Jacob Lance plays more pumps. But at this point, Jacob Lance is free to fire the arrow wherever he wants.
Punkage, can you win this game if you take this turn to clear allies? To me, it feels like something like Red in the Ledger or bust. I don't really know how you small ball your way out of this.
I have to agree.
Yeah, I mean, even Red in the Ledger seems quite tough because you might limit the Gravy Bones to just 1 action, but that 1 action will be Rigor Mortis coming to your face at the minimum, which is still 6 damage, and you're at 2.
Here's Blind
So-
Azalea flip. It's take aim. That's going to be deployed.
There's a priority window here.
And now Jacob thinks. Jacob Shaker wants to know, is there space to go ahead and use this Chum and mess up the plans of
Yeah, I'm pretty
Lance?
down to time walk
It
Lance
almost
here.
feels like Lance wants to clear the Chum anyway. So maybe you just don't activate it, because if he just leaves on the board, you're happy anyway.
Sure, but from Jacob's POV, the only way he loses this game
So
is
he will go ahead and activate it.
getting like chain redded or something. Why Gamba? Just whatever. You have to clear my Chum,
Arrow is
and
loaded up.
then
Mercifully, a
next
bolting shot,
round,
so the turn
I'm
can
gonna take your
continue
entire
from
hand
this
because you're
point.
at 2.
And I
Just
believe he's found a codex, so might be able to clear the
Basically
Rigor Mortis
impossible to
as well.
lose from this board state from
Codex of Inertia needs to
Shaker's
hit an
side.
arrow off the top, a 0-cost arrow, to try and clear the Rigor Mortis if he wants to.
Shaker's going to get some information, find out
Uh,
what is coming off
I
that
agree
codex
with you,
of
but at least
inertia.
in this
Could
game,
even
it's
Gravy
like
Bones right here in response. He does have a gold remaining to potentially change the top card if he wants to.
I feel less so about this game with that type of thing as I do about the one with like what was it? This game over here, the Majin versus Florian game, where just literally nothing was happening the entire game, and they were trying to like be really high energy and hype. It just, I think there's also a tough game for I'm pretty sure it was Ellie Sam casting this one, and like their specific dynamic is like high energy, hype up the chat, just like get excited. And with the nothing going on here, them just being hyped for an hour about nothing just is really awkward. Where at least I think if you flip the casters for these two games and you had Punkage and oh god, I'm spacing. Having both of them cast this game, they'd at least start talking about like macro stuff and like deck building decisions and all these other like deeper game things going on during this 19D chess game where there's like really not much to talk about with the game itself. Brian, that's his name. Holy shit, I can't believe I forgot his name. Yeah, not throwing shade at their casting or anything. It was just like the nature of their casting style, I think, was a bad match for how this game played out.
He's not happy with that
Just
one.
unfortunate.
But then he'll be going in blind.
Is going to gravy. Something he doesn't like on the top of the deck. Hesitates.
Both players going in blind from this Codex of Inertia. Lance doesn't know what the top card of the deck is either. At this point, the New Horizon is gone as well. Only one Arsenal zone for the rest of the game for Jacob Lance in this deck that is built around New Horizon.
And he already Azalea'd.
Is going to be a draw and discard here. Throw caution to the wind was the card.
Imagine hitting an Oasis off of this Inertia, and then you dead threads. I know it's not there, but dead threads to play the Oasis in the Arsenal. That'd be crazy.
Blind Arsenal. I think that was back alley break line. It was a
Okay.
very, very quick flash of the card. Also not a great card to have in
Yeah,
Arsenal.
I'd
That's
rather have the
probably
throw
the
caution to
worst
wind, I think,
Arsenal in the
but
deck.
Jacob obviously did not know that was coming off the top.
I think you just let the Inertia
Unfortunately,
take it.
Turn has ended here for Lance.
That is funny. It's not good, but it's
So
very
did not have a hit off the top.
I wish that was how this game would end, actually. I'll tell you after. Okay, sure.
From the Codex of Inertia for Lance.
Tipple for one.
Tipple for one. No yellow to discard.
Tipple go again. One cost, one go again.
Do
Good
you
enough for
hook
Gravy
this?
Bones.
It is a blue.
No, the Tunic
Would
just
go again.
blocks it.
It's a blue starter. We've talked about this almost Mystic Hero-esque here in Gravy Bones.
Break the chain. Okay.
Still gets a block from Jacob Lance.
Interesting. Not wanting to fall to one there is Lance. Rigor Mortis going to join the Marvel Rigor Mortis out there in the arena. 2 cards defended with here.
And I think it's because Jacob Lance just wants to clear an ally, so might as well just conserve their life. There's no point pumping your arrows if it's going to clear.
That was a
Rigor
pretty good
Mortis
Ancestral
anyway.
Recall from Lance's side. It's the only way to
It
stay
seems
in
like
this
the
game,
Arsenal
somehow
was not,
juice
an
your
arrow
opponent.
based on the previous turn, so
Yeah, and we
blind
are
Azalea it is.
Azalea'ing here. It's Codex of Frailty found.
That's one of the
That's a
hits
good
of
way
all
to make
time.
sure Jacob has access to another boat on the next turn.
Codex of Inertia. The Inertia token on the previous turn actually biting Jacob Lance over here. Freeing up Jacob Shaker's arsenal means he does get to go put back another Conqueror of the High Seas if he wishes to.
It is Endless Arrow found by Lance.
Endless Arrow at least gives him a way to block out with his hand and clear allies effectively for free.
Yeah, this makes some sense here from Jacob Shaker to just consider a golden tipple, get some of those dead allies out of hand, and this is lethal. You don't need to go huge with the boat. You can just go ahead and offer a ton of chain links here.
He also doesn't
At least
have
from
two
Lance's
blues,
side, he can
so
like snap.
Conqueror of the High Seas
bracers
wouldn't have
this.
made much sense. Looks like Endless Arrow is going to Rigor Mortis. Snapdragon Scale is used as well.
Just using everything to get 2 Rigor Mortis out of the arena. But life totals are 30 to 2, Ponkage. This is not even close yet. Not
Yeah,
in
this
the
is-
range of any
This is what the
threat
games felt like
headed
when
the
we
way
were
of
trying to
Shaker,
practice
and
his matchup with
has
Jacob.
plenty
It just felt
tools to
so
work with.
hopeless.
Still in the graveyard, in the arsenal. Lots of options here for Shaker.
And as Jacob Lance
The
is a
Conquerors are
blue
just
line
so
ally that
backbreaking.
Jacob Shaker
Like,
has found.
The second you have
Limit
any
is gonna be
semblance of
very,
tempo or
very
ability to play the
annoying.
game,
That's what
you just get
two
conked
muted
and you're just
go
like,
again.
ugh.
Solves the action point starvation issue of Gribby Bones all in itself.
It's just too much damage. Like, the disruption is bad enough,
Is
but it's
blood
just so
on the
much
water for
damage.
1.
This is coming in for 2.
There is the limpet discard. Golden Temple going to refresh the card in hand.
Man, who knew Felling of the Crown would go again was a good
Death
card?
Threads off
That's
the
crazy.
field, though normally the interaction of Limpet with Death Threads is very, very strong, where you get to play it out for free because it costs 0, activate Death Threads and attack with the Death Threads resource as well. But Death Threads off the field at this point.
An additional limpet picked up. That could potentially be deployed from hand with the help of those Mage Master boots. Could just end this turn limpet.
I guess I don't want to hero power into a red here.
Jacob Lands will probably be very happy with that.
I was
endless
wondering
arrow
why he
in Arsenal,
compassed.
Should that be the case?
If we hero power, draw a
Looks
red,
like the name of the game for
that's
him
like
is gonna
pretty
be
shitty.
Send endless arrow, clear small ally, and just keep.
So I think a
doing that.
yellow is better
To
here.
what end? We don't fully know.
It's not like we need to
I don't think
get
we've
more guys in the
blue
bin.
yet, if I am
We have not.
correct. So that means maybe something like a double limpet is off the table.
Give no quarter though. Is a blue. Jacob Shaker has picked up. Can
Are you
deploy
supposed to
it here
get
as well.
a
That will
blue
be
tipple instead
the
of
blue that
a
hits the yard.
red one here?
So maybe just
I guess
limp
it comes in
into
for
a larger
0.
ally that can be deployed.
Kind of bad.
Off the blood on the water reduction, or excuse me, the give no quarter reduction.
This might even be the time for the Mage Master Boots activation to just shut the door. You gotta play an ally. You can play 2 allies and attack with one of them as well.
There is give no quarter. Yeah, take advantage of that full reduction. Find the biggest, nastiest member of the crew you can.
Something that dodges the endless arrow that you know is in Jacob Lance's arsenal. Chum
Fits
is
the
a
bill.
great choice.
There's only one limpet, right? I was going to say, is it get double limpet, but then you'd have to hero power? I guess if you do that, then it doesn't matter if you draw a red, right? No, it does matter because we need money to swing both of these and money to crack our boots. So we have to draw blue here. So if the compass saw a blue, we hero power, crack the gold, draw the blue, double limpet. And if we see a red, we just leave it on top and do this play. And then we draw a good card next turn because there's a red on top.
Force Jacob to also keep a pump to clear it. Looks like Jacob Shaker is pondering that Mage Master Woods. You see him looking at it. Still
You know,
has it.
weirdly enough, I feel like all the time that I put into Azalea is weirdly going to help me play Gravy and learn, I think, the harder part of the deck faster. Like, learning how to sequence all the allies and like all the stuff is its own skill, but I think the harder skill is understanding how to use Gravy Bones and the Compass and the gold token. Like, these 3 card filtering abilities are incredibly high skill, and that's a lot of... it is not... I'm not saying it's as difficult in Azalea, but the heuristics that you build and understanding what you're trying to do at the top of your deck with Death Dealer, Azalea, plus Cross Wrap is very similar. So having that skill set already built up, I think is going to help me a lot learning this deck.
Give no quarter.
Yeah.
Resource
Though,
cost
that
reduction
being
is
said,
another
I don't care about Skullbound Cross Wrap. I actually usually played Azalea without opting most of the time, and I would just play a block 2 helmet. I almost brought Azalea for both Nationals and Pro Tour Amsterdam. And for Amsterdam, I was playing... God, what was the name of the helmet? Balance of Justice in the Mirror because it blocked for 2. And I just didn't give a shit about the cross wrap because I just blind every turn anyways. So it just, like, didn't matter. But, like, I understood how to play the deck in such a way where I could aggressively blind.
ally. Should he choose to go for it? Looks like that's not going to be the play. He wants to save those boots. Sending 4 damage.
That's so
Alright,
weird to
we
think
landed
about how
here
Azalea is going to
from
help me play this
Lance.
deck.
Which does
Huh.
mean that Lance can keep a pump and then send Endless Arrow a chump and just ask Jacob Shaker to do it all over again. Once again, to what
Well,
end? But
unfortunately,
one of the
Jacob's deck is
Couldn't he do it all
very
over?
good at
That's what
doing
his
this
deck
all
does
over again.
Every single turn of the game, it doesn't miss. There's no fail state here. It just will continue.
Yeah,
to
the,
do
like,
this
wait for
thing
Jacob
turn after
Shaker
turn.
to brick
And
is, like,
Jacob Lance
not
has to
really
find
a
way to
play,
advance
especially with the
game state
graveyard already
beyond this
full.
point. Just clearing can't get you anywhere.
Well, with Chum on the field, you can't just rely on going first face anyway. So it feels
Very
like
true.
I think your only hope is Jacob draws, like, a bunch of reds and blues, or a bunch of reds and yellows in his next hand, and you're pretty confident the top card, from Lance's POV, I think you're pretty confident the top card is not a blue, otherwise he would have hero power, drawn the blue, discarded the limpet. But even then, we still have the Mage Master boots on the table as a fail state option where we can crack boots, play Guy, swing guy, play another guy, pass, and still establish 2 guys and demand a card. So that fail state doesn't even exist. And we get to look at 5 cards because we get to draw 4 and then still crack gold to hero power to dig. Very unlikely that there's no blues in the top 5 of the deck.
Yeah, that's a long-winded way of saying if you want to go ahead and get your
I don't mind
name in
Azalea
for that
leaving.
box drawing,
I think
might
you can
wanna do it pretty
basically
soon
play the
because
same
things are
deck
looking
with
very much in Jacob Shaker's
Marlin if
favor
you
right
wanted
now.
to.
Blind Azalea here
And I think
from
Red and Ledger
Lance.
leaving the game is a net
Interesting.
positive.
Opting,
And
I
Death
think,
Dealer is kind of
to
a limiting
move away
balancing
from the endless arrow
factor.
plan.
Like, it's hard for them to make
Giving a priority window
Ranger
to
stuff
Jacob
with Death
Shaker
Dealer
while there's a
existing.
chum on the board. Swift shot coming in does get go again thanks to its effect. Jacob Lance considering currently priorities on him. He can send the Swift shot to face. No, it won't get disruption. The moment he plays a pump, though, priority window over.
So
to
that
Jacob
being
Shaker
said, I'm a
once
little
again.
sad that if Azalea leaves that I can't do Death Dealer Marlin. I was actually pretty interested in messing around with the combo Death Dealer Marlin where you're playing like Tri-Shot and stuff like that and just going fucking bananas on a turn. Make a bunch of gold and then just like crack the go again, crack Perch Grapplers, play Tri-Shot, play 3 of a kind, and just go ham.
Yeah, and it is.
I'm so sad we didn't get a gold arrow. I really thought, based on what we had already for spoilers, when we like had some of the spoilers but not everything, I was so sure we were getting a cycle of arrows that just said on hit make a gold, and then we just never did. I so surprised by that. Like a common or a rare that did that. Like something in the vein of the infecting shot cycle, just a 1 for 3, 4, 5 on hit make a gold. Bro, who? Riptide's ugly. No.
Lance feels he has to clear that ally.
I do not
Mission
support the ugly
accomplished,
bastard
Arsenal
tag.
set up, but everything is back to Jacob
I don't even
Shaker
wanna play
one more
Gravy.
Time, has a call to the grave. Will
But
be
at least
setting
he's
up
got
allies
lots of funny
unquestionably,
puns.
Has a chum in hand.
Gravy's
Actually,
funny,
the
at
worst
least.
cards that Jacob Shaker has drawn throughout this match are those defense reactions. They're actually the bricks in his
I just
hand.
wanna play
If he was
Lexi.
just doing what he wanted to do,
I
his
miss
hand would
Lexi.
be even more efficient.
Lexi and
Not to say he's
Aurora.
had any issues doing
I had
what
so
he
much fun
wants to
playing
do,
Aurora. It like
but they
really
feel like
brought
the
back a
bricks in
lot
this
of what I
matchup, which is
enjoyed about
crazy
Lexi.
to say against a hero like Azalea.
When you are ahead, all the opponent's attacks are going to your allies, which you can't defend with defense reactions anyway. But had the texture of his game been a little bit different, had he fallen a little bit behind, that's probably why those Blood in the Waters are in the list. So just hedging his bets in both directions.
I call back to Shaker going first. I really think that was a big deal.
I wonder, instead of playing Blood on the Water, if you're supposed to play something like a movable. Like, yes, it's a worse card, but it being a pitch card, like blue movable, just being more relevant. So that way I can, oh, you didn't punch me? Okay, I'll just use this as a pitch card. Because all the red defense reactions have looked incredibly awkward. It's probably not good enough because blue immovable kind of sucks butts, but it's an interesting thought.
In terms of the way this match would go and the allies that he was able to establish very early on.
But at the same time, like, if I think this is like a win more thing. If you have defense reactions in your deck against a deck where defense reactions are very good because they're supposed to go face, but you never get to block with them because your opponent's just eating shit and just clearing your board every round, I think you negging a couple resources every couple turns off of having defense reactions doing nothing is whatever, because you're ahead by so much, it doesn't matter that you're a little inefficient. So it's just a safety valve. I'm a little behind when I draw these when I'm winning, but in the off chance that I'm not winning, I have this to protect myself.
Speaking of key pieces in this match, I'm very curious that Jacob Lance decided to give up.
Because in a
this
game
arrow
that I'm not using
he
these,
had.
it means that I'm winning.
Winter and Azalea did away, found a Swift shot.
Like, if this just gets pitched every time, I'm never losing that
And I
game
think
anyways.
He was thinking exactly what you were talking about, Brian. That game plan is just simply not good enough. So you have to wonder what else he has up his sleeve.
I would be a little concerned about
Shaker discards
arsenaling
that
them, though,
blood
and
on
it
the
getting stuck in
water.
Arsenal all game. That was always a concern in
So
Dromai.
no blue has hit the yard this turn yet. As we say that, plays the blue golden tipple, so now blue will have hit the yard.
That'll
And
do
he
the job.
refreshes the gold as well, was down to 0 gold. Now
Picks
he's
up
on
a
1,
card.
and golden tipple is lethal.
Command and Conquer in the mix again. Kind of one of the worst cards that Jacob could have right now. It just feels like the allies are the only thing that matters, and continuing to set them up is so.
I love
so
the
good for Jacob.
2-card
And
1
Conquer
being
will find
lethal.
some damage, but it's almost unnecessary. It feels at this moment.
2-card 1 still
Is there
demand a full card.
limpet?
There is, I believe, it was discarded on the last turn cycle.
So you could play a limpet attack with it and then go command and conquer
Huge
anyway, and just
value.
take Jacob Lance's full hand. Looks like that is going to be the play for Jacob Shaker.
Here's the limpet. It gets in the mix.
And
Jacob forced to defend one more time. It gets the searing shot. And now we know the last fire here from Jacob Shaker. Maybe wants to do even a little bit more on the back of that Mage Master boots, looking for an ally to deploy here. Does he have the right cost profile?
If he had another limpet, he could have just closed the game out right here. Still gonna elect to use the Mage Master boots.
Sawbones with Gorgon.
Finds Sawbones, and just going to use the Sawbones here and keep the card in arsenal. That makes sense. You could offer the same amount of damage. You don't care about the disruption. And now Lance shows the hand, and Jacob Shaker on Gravy
GG.
Bones moves on to our finals.
That was an interesting game to watch. All right, so here's a game that I was like actually a little involved in also. This whole top cut was really funny. I was like bouncing back and forth between Caleb and Jacob, just like talking to both of them about their next matches. Every time one of the other one went on stream, just be like, okay, what do you need help with? What do you need help with? What matchup are you working on? Oh, let's talk theory. So Majin was dooming on this matchup super hard, and we were talking about like sideboard options, game plan options, and eventually I was just like, okay, Majin, do you think you're really behind? Like, really behind? Like, if you had to put a percentage on this matchup, what would you say? And he was not happy with the percentage chance of winning this match. So I went, all right, if you really think that's the case, then you just got to scam the new. Just make the most ignorant sideboard choices and the most ignorant play draw choices, like all of your gameplay choices. Just be ignorant and just scam the new. We're going to go first instead of second, even though that's probably worse. Basically, it's go first, try to scam and get a potion into play. And if you don't get a potion into play, you're holding an L. Put the blues in the deck that are kind of cringe for the new to play, and just say, whatever, I'm him, they're not going to play them, or it's not going to matter. And use your Striders pretty aggressively, potentially. Like, look for an opportunity to do that, because you can't do the strategy that Lucas does in this matchup, where Lucas just, like, throws big attacks and tries to pseudo-fatigue the new, but really just kill the new when they draw a handful of non-blocks. Because he doesn't have the evergreens, he can't really do that. He doesn't have enough physical attacks to throw. It's not about the evergreen loop, it's just physically having enough attacks in the deck to get to the point in the game that you see the all-chi hand while you throw lethal. So do a similar thing where you throw lots of big attacks at the new and just like push their life total down over the course of the game, and go for a combo the second that it makes sense, push their life total down, and just try to scam them also on one of those turns with a Strider's play, or at least be cognizant that you can do that. Like, let's say you throw a Felling at the new, and then just give you the whole hand. Like, whatever, bottom a card, block 3 cards, go next. If you draw into a hand that's like a Burn Bear or something, maybe you just fucking go for it and just get your free 9 damage. Just whatever, push their life total down, get them into range where you can kill them. Nothing else matters other than scamming the new. Let's see if he actually implements that kind of plan, because I haven't watched this game. I don't know if he actually did that, but that's what I talked about with him. And I think, given how bad the matchup is, especially with how Majin's deck is set up, I think this is a very good strategy for if your goal is to win the event, not just try to make top cut or something like that.
you know, been in the tournament scene for so long, sniffing top 8s, top 32, top 64 of Pro Tours, but this is her first major finish. And a major finish it is, making it all the way to the semifinals, and that's just how our story is still beginning. We're not sure where Bird's story ends. On the other side of the table, Majin
Well,
Ray,
I mean, we know where it
just a
ends
stalwart
in
of
top
this
4.
game's competitive scene.
Got
Top
him.
8s in multiple different levels, but this is his furthest finish as of yet so far, and he wants to take down this alluring desire in his path. The question is, will he be able to navigate what has historically been a somewhat
Whoa,
tricky
Sam,
matchup
calm
for
down.
Verdance? Why is this
You can't
matchup
just
not
go
exactly
calling the
where
players
Majin wants to
alluring.
be sitting, Ellie?
So there are kind of a few problems with this matchup. A, if New happens to steal any of your key
That's
combo
funny.
pieces,
We
not
have
only
Bird
do you
casting
not get
Bird.
access to your key combo pieces,
Ellie Bird.
she can play them, and New gaining life is pretty obnoxious for basically every deck. I believe, you know, she was kind of the key wielder of a now banned card, Count Your Blessings, and
The other
what
thing
is
you can do
so
to scam with the
particular
Striders is, like, if the new just deploys their hand to strip your hand. Like, I'm just going to play all these reactions and disruptive effects. Just whatever, I'm just going to crack Striders and just play my spells. Let your stuff resolve. I don't have a hand anymore for you to take.
nasty about that situation is that all of Majin's combo pieces are blue cards. All of these healing potions, all of these energy potions. She can just snipe them off the top if she chooses.
Yeah, I
to
really don't
activate
like
her hero
Majin's version of the deck in this matchup. Like, the whole let me play pots and, like, go for this big combo, it just feels so dubious to play into New. Is just so inconsistent. You can win, but the chance of them sniping pieces at inopportune times, or the wrong things getting banished off the top of your deck, or disruption lining up with the turn that you wanted to go for it, is just so cringe. I really like Lucas's strategy. It's very consistent. Like, you don't care what the New does. Like, you can still lose, but you're not like, oh man, something happened at an inopportune time, I just lose the game. You're just throwing fucking big attacks at the New and just smorking. It doesn't matter what the New does. I'm just going to throw 2 card 8s.
pitching and energy, definitely putting him in a tough position. And if the vice grip wasn't tight enough,
And then if the disruption lines up poorly, I'll just go Strider's Waning Moon.
Banish Zone voluntarily by decomposing will be leveraged against him as the game drags on, giving New massive amounts of value out of incredibly small hands.
New, of course, the final remaining hero from Part the Mistveil.
Also, chat, who else is excited New is finally gone? Can we get some claps in chat that New is finally gone? Fuck this hero. Oh my god. I think New is potentially the most cringe hero they've ever printed. Goodbye, holy.
Classic constructed, and we may be watching the final games of New on camera.
Right, let's
in
fast
this
forward through the
CC
yapping a little bit.
Full underway. Games community.
First of those games, Slander is his favorite wizard of all time.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold a grip and then play a blue stealth card, and my hand could be literally any form of disruption, and there's no correct answer because I have 4 cards. It's just so cringe.
Smirk,
like, I think Assassin's really interesting when there's a lot of, like, guessing game things going on, and, you know, I can make reads on the other side of the table of what you have based on how you played the last round. Like, oh, you blocked with this card, or did this, or did that. It's reasonable that you have this right now, and, like, the punish versus reward of guessing wrong is, like, I get rewarded and punished a little bit, but it's not like I lost the game instantly. There's no like, I can't guess what the New is gonna do because they just didn't fucking block. They just said no blocks, play a 5-card hand, all of your... There's nothing for you to get a read off of, and there's no right answer. Like, obviously, I'm being a little hyperbolic here. There are times that they block. There are times that you can get reads like, oh, they pitched a blue stealth card, so maybe they're loaded on blue stealth cards, and maybe their Mistblade matters more. Or they blocked with Venomous Bite, so maybe they don't actually have a target for the Venomous Bite in this round. But it's still cringe.
I'm with you there, Majin.
The rug pull of them saying never mind?
Miss you every day. Let's check out
Probably
the
not. I can't imagine that ever happening.
We have got 2 pieces of the new Widow
I think-
Claw equipment with the
I
AD
think
and
from
the
LSS's
Spellvoid, and
POV,
of
they're
course
ready
the
for Mystic to be
Arcane
gone.
Barrier. And we do see the Ring of Roses heading to the
I do think it's a little
combat chain
cringe
here.
that she
Looks as
rotated
though
right
might
before
not wanna actually make
other
that
people's
the first
nationals,
action,
where this is
but
going to impact
has now
people's
seen it.
testing. Like, imagine being one of the people that was
You can see
planning on
her head
bringing
go
new
thrown
next
back.
weekend,
She's
and now
not
your hero's
happy to see
gone.
that card be resolved right away.
I think that card showing up as soon as possible is basically like
Oh, he's just so
pretty
skilled at the game,
ideal
so
over in
handsome,
this matchup.
so
When Velvet
powerful.
struggles with a matchup, Ring of Roses is the out. You want to find it, I mean, ideally turn 0, but as quickly
Step
as
one,
possible to
go
tap
first and
on some
scam,
extra
successful.
value and on your arcane heavy turns and help you fight through a little bit of a numerical advantage or disadvantage.
Bird there, you saw the eyebrows go up. She was not happy to see that one.
Not happy to see this hand. I imagine Siren's Call, Command and Conquer, Surgical Extraction, and Bonds of Memory. She can do a little bit of dagger swinging, but I think this hand is a little bit far from ideal.
Also, I'm ready for Siren's Call to be gone. That card is, I think,
Surgical
the real
Extraction
problem with
into
the deck. I think if
Beckoning
Siren's Call
Display,
didn't
keeping the
exist,
Arcane Lantern
New would
around and
be
leaving
much
the
better.
Spider's Bite behind.
like, healthier to play
You know,
against.
This could go into that Bonds of Memory. Majin Bay calling out the pitch from Bird.
Let's take a look at this hand. We see a blue Fruits of the Forest, a red Rootbound Carapace, and a Plow Under. Bunch of earth action here along with that Ether Arc.
Fruits getting in front of the Beckoning Mistblade. Perhaps Majin thinking, you're pitching away. Surgical Extraction. What else could you come at me with? It is going to be the Bonds of Memory, and that block proving to be prudent. Looks though we might be fishing with that Siren's Call on the turn with that one floating. Majin has to think about all the various options.
I'm a little
that
surprised
can
there's
appear
no
with
Siren's
one
Call
floating
on
resource.
the dagger.
It seems like he might block with his blue specifically to play around Siren's Call on this turn cycle.
Majin's played against a lot of blue. Here comes the Siren's Call.
Yeah, I'm a little
Yellow
confused by
and
this
a
play.
red. No hits for Bird.
This is what we're talking about, right? With Majin being such a skilled player with such an impressive pedigree. He knows his outs and how he's supposed to navigate some of these nastier matchups. And, I mean,
Punch.
he's fought through so many unfavored positions, and it's just
Falcon.
showing how
Punch.
experienced he is with the stack from the very first turn, calling out Siren's
Step 2,
Call
punch
in
new in the mouth.
opener, right? Literally
Currently
zero
happening.
filtering to be had.
Enlightened Strike comes in now for 7. This is going to buy a block with the Undertow Stilettos and
Oh.
a couple more of those blue cards. Persuasive Prognosis.
I am a
and
little
the
terrified that
Desire
the
Mind.
boots blocked here.
As the Stilettos
Good thing we have a
grab
D-react in
that
Arsenal.
-1 defense counter. It's just going to be the CNC.
Unlucky, we have a defense reaction in
Siren's
Arsenal.
Call that remains in Bird's hand.
Unlucky.
There is a couple blue cards in this hand.
At least we can block
Probably
this.
wants to keep one to send across that red Fruits of the Forest. And a Plow Under in Arsenal, from what I understand.
Plow under
Whatever,
or
at least we
could
can defend
be
this. It's
It
not
might
that
be
big of a
the
deal.
Carapace.
And then we get
Be a
pummeled
bummer for
instead.
Majin, given that he is staring down that CNC.
Probably not.
4, 64 or 65. I can check my sideboard if you'd like. How many 2%? That's what I figured.
Players comparing the size of their decks because fatigue will come up in this game.
Okay,
If New has her
let's assume... you guys heard what they were saying, like the number of cards in deck, and he said that's what I assumed. How do you feel about this? If this is actually what you assumed, saying, oh, I'm surprised you did that to throw doubt on your opponent's choices, or in the other direction where you think what they did is wrong, then you saying, oh yeah, that's what I assumed, that's the right choice. This is something that I see Noah do a lot, where he'll opponent will ask him a question or just make some comment on the game, and no, just like agree with them even though he thinks they're wrong. Like they play some sort of look at hand discard effect, and they pick a card that you think is wrong and doesn't make any sense, but then they're like, you think that was the right play, yeah? And Noah will be like, yeah, absolutely. How do you guys feel about that? Just the throw doubt on your opponent, or when you agree with them, or agree with them when they're wrong.
way. Bird asking her opponent to put his hero and equipment actually in the boxes because it was bothering her.
Let's see how Majin wants to play through this CNC. At least one D-React is in the hand, and maybe another one in the arsenal. Block with the Scour.
Just taking 3, but
I'm surprised that he
Siren's
didn't fully
Call
block
is
this
pretty
out.
obnoxious here. But he can clear this card in response. This does have an instant speed ability. He can just play this life to deny the draw.
Yeah, nice little counterplay there. Get to play the life.
Why didn't he
Gain
fully
one,
block this?
but not be able to resolve the Everbloom, which is a nice way to play around some fatigue. And now 2.
Like, I know the hand
Everblooms
doesn't
in the
do anything
graveyard
if he
after
fully
not
blocked this,
resolving
but
one
like,
from turn 0 and 1 to play around the Siren's Call.
Everbloom is not a card you want New getting her hands on. She can use it to recur Codex of Frailty.
And it was the Rootbound Carapace in the arsenal, so Majin has to just take that damage. He didn't want to put it in front of the CNC.
I think he's going to be discarding and arsenaling here, hoping there isn't another Command and Conquer on offer from Bird here.
3 damage on the CNC.
Looks like the first Transcend of the game is coming up. Maybe not the most ideal one of all time with just a 0 for 1.
oh, I'm so happy I'm not going to have to remember to DG anymore.
Scale, which will likely
Though I'm going to have to remember to
into
flip my
massive
allies
recurring
back.
Nightmares with a Sigil of Solace to follow it up.
Also, I hate that the allies go face down. I wish they just went to banish afterwards.
What Bird has in store. It's going to be a Grains. Pump it up to 2. Transcend here.
Banishing Sink Below to Mask. Taking 2 and banishing a card off the top. It is blue. That is brutal.
That means it's going to be a card draw and a life gained. Bird just going to have to play the Sigil. Gain a little life of her own. Up to 44 now. Place one of those 2 cards in the arsenal.
We are in
I'm
for
not getting
the long
disrupted, at
haul
least.
here. 3 turns in, and both players either near or above their starting life totals.
So far, playing Punch her in the mouth, though, isn't going
Bird
great.
looking at
She's
his
at above
hand.
her starting life total.
Not too stoked about it. A number of grimaces, placing them down on the table.
E-Strike is a fine arsenal, but if you draw into Codex of Frailty, it can be a little bit awkward, especially if you want to do some amount of blocking or Arcane Barriering. But even more dangerous to Arsenal in New is attack reactions, but it looks
I mean,
like
if it is
she's
awkward,
gonna
you just bottom
risk
the
it
Codex
for
with the
biscuit,
E-Strike, right?
tucking that hiss into the Arsenal.
Oh,
There's
Smork.
just 6 big points of Arcane with that brand new Burn Bear spell. I'm really impressed by how effective it's been just as a chunky bit of damage beyond the effect to actually give these wizards some agency into some of these more Phantasm heavy lists. As we see the Rampant Growth head to the bottom alongside the Emeritus Scolding as the Waning Moon continues to put pressure on.
Waning Moon nowhere near as unfair in Verdance as it was an Icelander, dealing 3 damage on your opponent's turn, but converting 2 resources for 2 arcane damage at instant speed is nothing to sneeze at.
Bird just gonna block it all out. Flip around those 2 different cards, Double Trouble and Bonds.
All that for a drop of blood.
An interesting hand here for Caleb. No blues to speak of, and a lot of costly options.
Big E-Strike for 7 now for Bird. Didn't want to do it on the last turn. Happy to do it here. Pressure the life total on Majin. Still has the Venomous, not the Venomous, the
Hiss.
Hiss.
Bit of
in
an
the arsenal.
interesting thing I kind of just came upon with Bird's equipment presentation here. There is no tunic to speak of.
Yep. Which means the cost curve and the various ways you pitch through Mistblade, Tunic, CNC, Codex all become so different without the Tunic in favor of a little bit more Arcane Barrier.
Blocking 3 with that Pulsing Ether Life. Maybe that Shelter from the Storm is going to come from the Arsenal to soak up some damage.
Majin giving this one a real think. Maybe we can check what's in the hand. Felling, CNC, and the Rampant Growth. Those are some awkward cards. Is going to be the Shelter from the Storm to just go ahead, clear up all 7 of this. And I have to imagine the CNC is going to come out pitched with that Rampant Growth. Bird now knows both of those Rampant Growths.
Surprised he hasn't played a single Decompose yet.
She has to start to think about what happens when they come back around. We've seen already in our feature match area very recently how impressive those cards are together. 31 Arcane in the quarterfinals. What's in store for Majin Bey here?
Time to start counting his pitch stack yet again, folks at home.
Leave no witnesses now because of the tunic.
Or
And the
lack
lack thereof. Yeah, Bird has to keep a card in hand to threaten this hiss.
Let's see what is going to get pitched into that, if anything.
Ooh.
Sigil of Solace in hand. We may just see her gain 3 here and move on.
Block for 5 is good. Sigil of Solace is played. Gorgeous Sagrada Familia promo up to 44. Feels like it should gain 4 life instead of 3.
I love that promo. I think that's one of my favorite promos in the game.
Healing Potion, Waning Moon, putting more blues along with those rampant growths on the bottom of the deck and getting a little bit closer to that combo. It may be easy to underestimate here, but getting your combo pieces on the board is precious and essential. Every single one is so difficult to protect and resolve through the Mystic Assassin's attack, reactions, and ability to mill cards off the top of your deck. Counting your blessings may no longer be allowed in Classic
I feel like this
Construction,
has been a very
sure
disruption-like
Mr.
game.
Bay is counting
Like,
his, that he has resolved even
resolved
one
disruption
combo
at
piece in
least.
this matchup.
2 damage now that Bird has to think about.
It's been
Might be
the
that
threat of
preserved
disruption,
condition.
but nothing
Heading
really
to the pitch
actualized
zone.
other than the Command and Conquer that
Got the
Caleb
E-strike,
chose
Command
to
and
be
Conquer,
hit
got the
by.
pain in the backside. Those cards can work together nicely with a bunch of action points.
I suspect this turn is just going to be 3 with the Mistblade connecting for an extra 1 should this actually connect into 7. Big ol' threat. Majin notably up to 40 thanks to that Ring of Roses since Bird elected not to Arcane Barrier.
No blocks on the 3. Take a total of 4. The Mistblade has now hit. Down
That's
to
pretty
46
reasonable.
goes
Like, the
Majin dead.
damage clearly doesn't
Card is
matter this game. She's not trying to kill you.
nasty and new, dude.
And now Enlightened Strike comes out for 7.
3 card 11 here.
Anything that's
Some
not
myriad
disruption, I don't
sword
think I
left to
block.
cover this up cleanly. Warmonger's Diplomacy looking like the block.
As a Verdance in this
Majin's
matchup, I
already
think.
resolved a Ring of Roses and a Healing Potion. He wants to find more pieces of the puzzle. Can hear some shouts from the hall as I believe a gold foil was open nearby. Events firing all the time here from the World Tour in Las Vegas. An incredible time for everyone beyond just the World Championships. National Championships, excuse me. Calling top 8 is about to begin.
One of the best value plays you can find once Ring of Roses on board. 4 Arcane coming in alongside Waning Moon, threatening a point of life gain should anything connect. And connect it will, because Bird only has AB3. And that is a source of 4.
Okay, go ahead. So 43-36.
43-36 after Bird. There's a good bit of A-being. It's just more Enlightened Strikes. It's just more 2-card 7s. You can see
Yeah, just like,
Bird just kind of
none of this
shaking her
actually
head a little
matters.
bit. You can see she puts a hand to the sky. She's not happy with the way her deck is presenting its cards to her.
Imagine Majin is, though. This hand not only blocks.
Hey, Goblin, how's it
but
going?
Send across
How's the
some
kids
more
doing?
high value damage, keeping him in the value race until he gets down to that.
Didn't see
devastating
you at Nats. Were you
arcane
there?
Damage combo. It's so risky to try and set yourself up to go for a combo for myriad reasons against New Alluring Desire, the least of which is the fact that she is by a country freaking mile the best hero at resolving bonds of agony, which should it find any combo pieces in your hand, it's going to remove all of them from your deck.
You can hear Majin say, I don't want to be blocking these, but it's just the way his hands are presenting themselves. 8 damage now
Oh,
hits the combat chain as the
decompose!
Cadaverous Tilling
We're doing the
crashes
thing.
forth.
We
A
almost
big
have a hero
gold
power,
point
guys.
Of 8 after the decomposition. Let's see just precisely what the Earth cards are that head on in there.
I suspect they are all red, Sam. Yeah, Rootbound Carapace, Pulsing Ether Life, and Fruits of the Forest, being very careful.
Kind of
not to
unlucky
give
that the
you any
random
blues for free.
banishes have been all non-Earth cards.
Either or just makes a ponder when it hits.
It does make a ponder.
Not third.
No. Just
3 total there. First decomposition. Those cards
That's true. I thought
banished to New's
Aether Arc was
ability.
Surge.
As now Bird, you can see, blowing some air forth. She looks down at her weird by her own admission hand, and we do see the first bonds of agony present.
Very important turn, she says. Looking to resolve one of the first Bonds of Agony along with her Sacred Art in hand. Maybe looking to deal some pretty serious damage. Though Majin has been very careful to not put any blues in the banished zone that she's capable of using easily for good reason, she's going to get to know.
You know, I've never
questions
really
asked,
paid attention to
banish 2
Minecraft
cards
stuff
from his
before,
graveyard.
but
However,
weirdly, just recently just started paying
Sacred
attention to
Art
it a little
might
bit because
come at a bit
Paymoney
of an
Wubby was
awkward
doing
time.
Minecraft stuff, so I've just been watching his YouTube videos about that. It was really weird where he's also never known Minecraft stuff, so he's like viewing it all as a fresh person, so
terrible target.
I was so curious if Bird was going to block or not because it did feel like a blue.
that makes sense. I'm skipping Singapore for a similar reason. Way too expensive.
And Bonds of Agony hits the table as Majin draws up a combo piece.
This would be huge if this Bonds of Agony connects. And
Way too
rips
expensive, and the
forth
state of the world
healing
is kind of in
potion from
flux
Majin's
right
hand.
now.
It will
Seems
also
unwise to spend
rip
that much
the healing
money.
potion from his deck unless it is safely tucked away in the arsenal. Bird has access to the stilettos and 2 hisses. She can get over by, let's see, +3, +3, +3, right? So it's 9 on 1. She can make this attack 10 in the reaction step. And she can make a Fang Strike with the
Sacred Art.
Sacred Art. Does she have enough to pay for it all? I believe she does. She's got 1 blue and the hiss. She can play the Sacred Art with
What's
the
the
blue,
arsenal?
make a chi, play both hisses with the
Is the
chi.
arsenal
She makes off
chi?
the Sacred Art. And then the Sacred Art makes a Fang Strike to bring it up to 11. Majin has to sniff it all
Yeah, these are
out
these
here.
spots with new where you're like, there's just no right
Does do
answer.
some pretty solid blocking, capable of blocking 10 without necessarily jeopardizing much beyond that. But unless he sniffs out that he needs to cover 11, life is about to get pretty difficult for our Earth Wizard over there.
Look at Bird.
Oh, that's
head
sick.
in hands as she thinks through this turn and the next.
I'm not happy. Philly is the 3rd major I'm able to drive to.
He's got the 4 more
Get to
in
save a lot of money.
the hand.
I'm in
and the
Massachusetts,
Scepter from the
so
Storm.
I got
This is
super
gonna come
lucky.
over the top.
Philly,
I think it is too. With the 1 extra
Jersey,
damage that the Fang Strike
and
from the Sacred Art presents.
God, what was the one in that shithole?
This would be huge for Bird. Let's see if it does end up coming over the top. Bird has to be thinking
Oh my
about
god, I
is
can't
a
remember.
D-react in
What was
arsenal?
the other Pro Tour that we
I don't know
had that
what's
was on
in
the
Majin's
East
arsenal.
Coast?
It could be another D-react.
I don't
If
know.
so,
Don't
that
think we
would
caught it.
stuff through
Real shithole area.
stuff this Bonds of Agony.
That one I wish I didn't bring my car to because my
Sacred Art, the
yeah,
first
Baltimore.
play
I
here.
literally got my car broken into at that one. A homeless man slept in my car.
Bird decides to take out of Majin's graveyard.
Are we looking
Not much action, thankfully.
They stole our
looking
CDs
for
and slept
action
in our car.
cards, Not wanting to do anything. with the
But then they left
Type.
the lights on in the car, so it killed my battery. So then I had to get my car towed. I ended up missing most of Saturday because of that.
Let's see what the selections are here from Bird. If Majin has a D-react in that arsenal,
Never going back to Baltimore.
it changes
But the food was
everything
really
on this
good.
turn.
That was the
We heard
only
Bird
saving
say by
grace.
her own admission, this
There was
is
so
an
much crab.
important Turn. She maybe is actually looking towards those 2 Everblooms just to get them both out so they cannot be recurred because
Oh!
of that fatigue angle.
Well, so that she can
Free
play the
free
bleeders.
decompose.
Very true. You know, keep forgetting that part
That
of new.
card is about as devastating to leave in your deck against New Alluring Desire as the Mystic Heroes leaving in Levels of Enlightenment.
Let's see now what the call is from Bird. No Tunic. It's going to be the Fang Strike. It's going to be the Hiss. Pitching away. The Inner Chi. Needs to find one more reaction, and what's it going to be? Going to be one of those slithers. Can keep the Hiss around.
Another Hiss, pushing this to 11 like you called out.
Oh, that's nice.
Now she makes another Slither, which she doesn't have. Which she can just play the Phantom
Yeah,
one.
she's saying I'll just play it. You may just want to clear all of them, or
Tough.
they can be really sketchy to Arsenal.
Let's see now.
Yeah,
Majin
I'm
does
not a
have the
fan of
other D-react in the
arsenaling
arsenal.
any of the tokens.
This is
This
11.
goes up to exactly 11.
I don't know if
I
he
think
was
every time
prepared
I've
for
ever
this.
seen someone do
Shelter
that, they're
from the
immediately
Storm blocks
punished.
4. Brings his blocks to 10.
Little nod from Majin.
Looks like Bird saying still thinking in reactions. Does she want to clear out the other Slither? Yes, she does.
so dangerous to Arsenal. If you Arsenal that card and draw into Codex, you can blow yourself out.
I'd say so.
Very good,
Good turn
Majin
for
says.
this.
That doesn't sound like a man with a D-React in the arsenal.
Yeah.
The one saving grace
Yeah, I
here
plan on
is
learning
that because
Gravy
he's
and Verdance by
already resolved the
World
healing
Championships.
potion, even if he loses 2 more, that Ponamu amulet will give him the opportunity to do a little bit more life gaining to set up a combo, but 4 might just not be enough.
Now the question is, does Majin just activate the Plume of Evergrowth to keep the healing potion in the deck?
He might have to, but whatever card he goes and gets, he's gonna lose every copy of.
There's also the option, if we have a spell here, to just
If he has
Striders.
multiple colors.
What's fascinating is
Because we could
if
pitch the
he-
Epoch to the Striders.
he is going to go ahead and activate the Plume of Evergrowth. He has to keep the healing potions in the deck. He's going to go put a Fruits of the Forest back into the hand, it looks like. And then immediately discard it, gaining the 2 life to turn off this Bonds of Agony effect. He's played around it. Like Majin said, this was a very good turn for this. Keeps the healing potion in the deck, but now the Plume of Evergrowth button has been hit, is turned off, and got him no real value.
I was also hoping that you weren't gonna.
Insults to injury, salt in the wound.
Yeah, it's
here.
tough with
His
the shreds when the
percent
opponent
is
just doesn't want to
ruined.
block.
That happens sometimes.
He had 2 rampant growths next to each other along.
I never
with
actually ended
blue
up
at the
drafting
bottom
that
of his
much
deck.
Hunted, but
Now,
with how
Bird
much my
here
team was
still
shitting on the set for how
able
bad
and
it was,
allowed to
I
search
sounds
through
like
the
I'm not
deck
missing a
and
much.
just
Some
take
info.
stock of exactly what she's playing against.
You can see those first few cards pitched at the bottom. Scour, Plow Under, Rampant Growth, another Rampant Growth, and a Mental Block.
I love that thing. I'll play that in any deck I can.
This Bonds of Agony has go, go, go again, again, again.
No Bonds
Was
of
there a
Agony
hero
has
power?
gone further.
Or is it
This
Mask?
Bonds of Agony on the combat chain.
Did they respond to Watery Grave Trigger?
Look at that.
And, like, can you respond to...
We already appreciate
I mean, it doesn't matter right now.
We're just listening in.
Okay, so if I banished it, would it be face down and banished, or would, like, it not flip?
I don't know if I'm going to be making any draft content. I'm not going to Singapore, so I have no reason to practice the set more.
We hear
That
the
would just
players
be
discussing.
me drafting locally for fun if I end up doing any drafts, but
Just at the potion seller.
no one really wants to draft locally.
This is a pretty interesting question. What they're wondering here.
But this is the best draft set they've ever made, so
because
like,
Watery
I would draft for
Grave
fun
is
if
a
people want to.
triggered
But I'm not
ability
practicing
to
for
grant
Singapore, so there's no
instant
reason for me to
speed,
like grind
banish
drafts
it
or
from their
make
opponent's
content.
Graveyard in response to the Watery Grave trigger, and because the Watery Grave trigger will no
Ooh,
longer
nice.
see that it is
Lucky.
in the graveyard, it will be in the banish zone face up and playable for new. This doesn't matter because Sacred Art has already been used this game, but it is an interesting question.
So, I'm gonna get a bajillion action points.
You're actually only going to gain 1 bird.
I will pass as well. You let me know if you have any.
Both players here passing over,
Most likely
I
not.
imagine you won't, but I won't pick them up just yet.
making sure Bird has no instant speed effects. She certainly does not. Turn
Look at that.
passes over to Majin.
Is quite a hand off the top. Persuasive Prognosis glued to just
Oh, nice.
Nick
Yeah,
right
that makes
next to
sense.
each other in the
People
deck.
wanting to draft but can't get the product.
The secret
Alright.
hero ability of every assassin.
Let's see how Bird wants to enact this turn. I had to imagine it was going to be the Beckoning Mistblade.
I mean, yeah, if we get like 8 people that want to draft
You
Painkiller,
can see Bird
I'm
with a
down.
head up. Not happy to
I just
see
know
that one.
typically at Great Stories people don't actually want to draft.
Majin Bey finally feeling like he had a good moment, as he has had to face down disruption after disruption. No blocks, I believe, is the call from Majin.
Don't worry. New always has it.
Just a Nick coming down and asking for just a little bit off the top.
I'm really curious to see what set price, what
Just a
card
Nick.
prices do with this set
Vanishes.
once there's a bit more product
Blue
available.
Scoldings, really like those Scoldings.
Because
There's
the
Just a
prices
Nick.
of singles for this set are fucking
That means that
bananas.
The Warmonger's Diplomacy can be banished.
Prices for this game are bananas, but like this set in particular,
New
Diamond
game
Amulet was
free
like
after
$100
all the
last
triggers
I
are
looked.
resolved.
Huh?
Interestingly, opting not to use the one floating to play out a Siren.
Is it like
Spell,
short
maybe
printed or
not
something?
Wanting to put herself in an awkward position. Majin going to send across a plow under and plow his own arsenal under. Oh, never mind. It's Felling of the Crown.
Felling of the Crown, pretty
My
good
bad.
here.
My bad.
Gonna go ahead and rip a card from Bird.
It's
and
crazy
the ponder
that
the
for
mental
everything that's
block
happened in this
created
game,
means he's moving back with a 5-card hand of his
there's a
own after
total of
this.
10 actualized damage across both players.
This is going to have Verdance' hero ability online here as well.
Oh.
Let me think about this banish, says Majin. Not wanting to put himself in an awkward position where he puts blues in the banish zone.
Yeah, I'm
and
really
gets blown out
surprised by
for it.
that. I'm planning on probably picking some up once it seems like it's
Felling
bottomed
of
out.
The Crown, so impressive.
I
Majin
sold the
able to
ones out of my
banish
deck to one of
away
my locals because he just like
the
wanted the
plume of
card, and I
Evergrowth.
was like, okay, whatever, man.
and turn on the Verdance hero ability upon this decomposition's resolution.
I'm allowed to put blues on top. Am I allowed to put blues on
I
top?
don't think you can reorder. I know you can't with a graveyard.
Talking about reordering the banish zone versus the graveyard here.
This was actually recently updated. The rules were updated to be a little bit more lenient towards players reordering certain zones.
But it being legendary might mean that it's printed at a third of the rate of a
Yeah,
normal
looks like just gonna
majestic.
put the playable blues on top here.
But it might be
They are
short
playable
printed even
for
on
new.
top of
She
that.
looks through. There's a fair amount of options for her.
Because I feel like even at a
Those two
third of the
blue
normal rate, it
lights
shouldn't be
really
$100.
pretty nice on a turn
'Cause like
when
you said,
gets
you only need the
activated.
one.
Get some good actions on the bottom because I don't think it targets. Does it
They
target
will
Earth
be
actions?
disappearing from the
Target
market at the
action
same
cards.
rate
Everbloom
as
like
regular
targets
majestics.
any action card with cost
And-
less than
Yeah,
the
just
amount
an
of
action
life
card.
you gain.
I feel like not everyone even needs that card. Like
also doesn't
Gravy wants that card.
It
And I'm sure
chooses
there's other
one
decks that like
resolution,
wouldn't
meaning
mind having
you
that
cannot
card,
get
or like
blown out by
people that
something
just want to
banished in
own the
response.
card. But unlike the ship where like
Very true. Very
that
true.
feels like 3 should be disappearing from the market every time someone buys one.
Yeah.
The best way to explain whatever the hell.
I think you did more decomposing than I did almost.
Majin saying that Bird has done most of the decomposing this game, helping get that hero ability, I think, online, but maybe not because
It
Majin has
is.
not flipped the hero over.
It is online.
Hey man, sell them,
This
get that
Felling
money.
of the Crown is putting in
Get rid of them while
work
they're
for
stupid
Connect.
expensive is what I think. Get that bag.
Fascinating if Bird goes ahead and plays out those Earth cards. from
More
the banish
Minecraft
zone,
and
will
pizza
no longer
money.
Be in there, and the hero ability will no longer be online.
Another axis on which this matchup can be a little bit miserable for our Earth Wizard.
Turn 8 here. Both players still at a very healthy life total, though Bird is staring down the Felling of the Crown.
Another bit of complication from not having Tunic in the deck here is that this Homage to Ancestors plus Levels of Enlightenment can typically be a really, really powerful play with just 2 cards if you have Tunic to pay for the levels, but she doesn't. This turn is misplayed pass. Maybe a little bit of reprieve for Majin.
Looks like it's a Burn Bear in the arsenal. Big old arcane spell he can throw forward.
And gain some life should it connect.
But the Siren's Call here, a classic play. Asking
He only
for a
has one
card in
blue,
front of
right?
Misplayed no matter what. Mental block is just going to be
Mental block.
discarded to get out of the hand, create the ponder.
Are we gonna pitch 3 reds to play Burn Bear on this turn, Sam?
I know you don't draw a
Well,
card,
we do
but
have
I'm
a
also
block.
not happy about
You saw Bird's
this.
face.
My hand still
I'm
sucks.
not happy about this as the Burn Bear comes forward. Bird
What a
looks
silly
up to the
game.
sky as that's clear.
What is
It's
this
been a little
game?
bit of a weird one so far in this semifinals. Both players trying to fight through some awkward draws and some awkward plays. Majin can do nothing but laugh as he looks down at the tillings and the fruits of the forest. But at least
Yeah,
both
we'll probably
players
meet
with
up
so
at,
much on the line, still
You should
having
go
a great
to
time.
Worlds.
Sometimes
Worlds is
Verdance
always a
the
good one to
most
go
efficient
to.
flush
And if
drawer
nothing
deck
else, like I'm assuming you're just
that
gonna be
you've ever
playing
seen.
for like
Sometimes
for fun more or less, like
Versus.
side events and like maybe the calling or the
Sometimes
battle heart or something.
It's this.
The promos that you can get from the
This is
side
hard
events
to
are always
adjust
worth
to.
doing.
Puts you in
So
bad
like
positions.
you can kind of
Majin
make your
made
money
a
back
bunch
by
of
going by
suboptimal
just doing the
plays
side
to
events.
Play around the disruption that Bird is threatening. Didn't want
I
to
don't think
give
that's
Bird
a
chance to draw
possibility at the
card
world
off
premiere
the
unless you like
Siren's Call.
open the nuts.
Luckily enough, Majin going to be able to draw once again off the ponder and have another 5-card hand.
First codex of the game in Bird's current hand, but a little bit of an awkward hand here. Double red. I suspect we may see a red card either pitched to Arcane Barrier on the Verdance trigger.
It's funny. I think the side events are higher EV on average than playing the main event, which is crazy.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I've always had that
I'm not
nagging thought of,
fostering, like,
you know, I could
Bird's
just go to these
ability
events
is
for fun and
online,
stop
as the codex
grinding
is
and
pitched
just
into the command
make
encounter.
money
I think
playing
that
side
should've been a
events.
Trigger if it was. Every other game, Majin has flipped around.
Just off. I'll take 6. Get this stupid blue Autumn's Touch out of my arsenal.
That was hilarious. Majin happily throws away the blue Autumn's Touch to the CNC, goes down to 27.
For pretty good reason here, too. His hand is capable of sending Enlighten Strike into Command and Conquer. Not only a 4-card 11, but it threatens taking Bird's arsenal away from her.
It also makes her block, so that way she fucks off for a turn.
And I don't think you shuffled for Chi, but I shouldn't have assumed.
Here comes the Enlighten Strike. Here the players chatting through a little bit about the decision-making process. 5 go again now. Once again, how does Bird want to play this? It's been a weird one by her own admission. But at the end of this match, we will have our last finalist competing for the title of U.S. National Champion
of 2025.
High Seas has just released. We have seen some new cards. One there in the pitch.
I mean, if you want the cards, whatever. Personally, I don't care about having the cards, and I'd rather the money.
Bird. Kind of symmetrical turns now for our players.
I'm not a shiny cardboard enjoyer anymore.
I love when cards get banned, and the reason is a card that isn't out yet, because everybody goes, well, what could possibly be so bad? And then I think collectively everybody saw Everbloom Life and was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Get Germinate out of here.
Here comes Persuasive Prognosis, once again threatening the hand of Majin Bay.
I'd rather get the money back so I can keep going to events.
Healing Potion yet again.
He's got to put a bunch of blocks into this.
I think she might be looking to use her Stilettos this turn.
No
Sigil
reactions.
Of Solace in hand. She's going to gain a massive 5 life from this interaction.
Majin so pleased about this.
I believe he held back a mental block.
Yeah, had a little bit extra blocking potential. But
thankfully, that mental block can pay for Waning Moon.
And this is huge for Majin. You saw the lengths he went through to preserve the other healing potion earlier in this game. He gets to resolve this one and pitch away the mental block into the Waning Moon. Isn't left with the block card in the hand.
Well, given the course of this game and how much disruption is gone from Bird, I'm going to assume that we just have this giant Kamehameha
and a nice
combo.
One at that. Just going to prevent the damage on the Waning Moon.
Doesn't want that Ring of Roses trigger to resolve.
Now I wonder here for Majin, these 2 healing potions, he doesn't have the plume. Is he setting himself up well enough to be able to have that big combo? There's another amulet in the hand. That's a 3rd piece. And this is a Leave No Witnesses that threatens nothing but the top of the deck. No blocks is the call.
Oh yeah, he's fine as far as the combo goes if he does get everything in play.
Here, both giving
It's so much damage.
And getting to filter.
I guess it's less damage though because he's playing the Waning Moon.
Into Mask of Recurring Nightmares, drawing an Arcane Compliance off the top. Maybe not the ideal card you want to see here.
Arcane Compliance, as we've seen earlier, has a little trouble with Verdance, given that the stacking can go onto the Verdance trigger and not an action card. Similarly into the weapon.
I need to do that more often. I end up dumping my stuff a little too much.
I can't decide.
And then I ran into a problem with that when Enigma rotated, where I was like, ah, shit, I don't like actually have stuff
get a little bit lucky.
other than illusionist cards. So I ended up having to borrow cards for most of that season.
So far, going reasonably well for him. First new activation, not getting to snipe anything off the top, but I think we're gonna see some of Verdant's blues played against her, pushing that life total lower and lower.
Both Everblooms and lives gonna go ahead and be resolved here. And they'll actually, the second one will be able to see all of the life gain done on this turn.
Yep. Nasty.
33. He gets an action card. As New has seduced the secrets away from Verdance. Gathering the intel and the information. What action card is she going to select?
Has to
Is there something? I guess Prognosis.
1 on the second one. Enlightened Strike looking pretty tantalizing here with all 3 in the graveyard. Just puts a lot of extra damage back in the deck. Interesting, instead choosing Persuasive Prognosis.
Then the second Everbloom going to gain another life, allowing her to look for something with cost 1, though I'm not sure there's any action cards in the deck that cost 1, it's just
There
going to
is
be...
Levels of Enlightenment.
Levels of Enlightenment. Absolutely
Lots
true.
of agony back on the bottom of the deck, putting 2 more of those nasty, nasty just-to-nick targets back in the deck.
As well as 2 more blues for any potential arcane damage that's coming later.
5.
Autumn's Touch is going to be the next call. No blocks. Take 5, down to 18 goes Majin Bay.
Interesting. She chose not to resolve the Codex in hand, not wanting to discard to it. Instead, sending across some vanilla damage, but that might be pretty fortuitous for Majin on the other side of the table. I think he's going to get to establish another combo piece and Arsenal Felling of the Crown.
Game
Verdant's
2,
trigger.
yeah. Here comes the trigger, so I guess Majin did know he was online.
Interesting, intentionally yielding to it on a turn prior.
Mm-hmm.
Curious to see if he establishes a combo piece or rattles off this Felling.
An industrial fan?
318, they're checking life totals here.
I certainly don't have that. Let me take out my headphone and listen.
A recursive ring.
I don't hear anything in my space that's loud.
Of extra arcane damage should that Verdant's trigger actually connect on this turn. Third combo piece hits the table.
I could have pitched you.
Hmm. Yeah, it sounds like my mic is picking something up. I don't know what it's picking up. Properties. Yeah, I'm not sure what it's picking up. I don't think I had a noise gate on. If it is, that's weird because my mic is on the complete opposite side of my desk. My mic is over here, and my computer is like way over there. Maybe it's just like picking up too much. I switched it for a second just to see if it would reset it. On the properties, it says it's the correct microphone. Let me try opening up the Steel Series thing and then turn on the noise gate. I might switch back from that, but that's what I used to do for doing podcasts. Gotta remember where the hell it is, though. 1 second. The hell is the app called? Steel Series GG. Sonar? Nope. God, I don't know how to use this app anymore. Maybe I can't turn it on because I'm already streaming. Yeah, I'm just gonna see what I sound like myself. Content, live. View on YouTube. Live. View on YouTube. I kind of hear it. Just like a little bit of a low rumbling. Yeah, I'm not sure. I even turned off my like regular fan. I don't know if it. I guess I'll take a look at it later. Just keep streaming for now. Enough stalling. Yeah, I like had a pile of cards next to the microphone right here, just like on the other side of it right here, and then I just moved all that off of the desk, and that's about when you guys said that happened. So I had like a corridor of cards around the microphone, so I wonder if the cards were helping it. I don't know. I hate this camera arm. I gotta get a new one at some point. I guess I'll start putting more piles next to it and see if that helps it. Is Stonewall a win this defends trigger? Or does that retroactively change with reactions? Yeah, win this defends, so doesn't work with reactions. Yeah, I kind of wish that the like playmat thing that they used for stream and whatever was like a slightly different pattern or color or something to make sleeves pop a bit more on it. It's so crazy to me how many Majestics that Assassin has access to. You can literally just build a deck of Majestics. I feel like Assassin is the one class that like basically has never gotten a bad Majestic. I know that's not true, there's like a couple that are bad, but like honestly, a safe heuristic would be, is the card Majestic? It's probably good for Assassin. She did not break the combat chain for the Stonewall.
Holding up a Venomous Bite, maybe just gonna pump up this pain in the backside instead.
And look, this because the combat chain didn't close. This pain in the backside.
Minus one.
So this is just going to be damage here on the Venomous Bite.
Just 7 go again. No big deal.
Wow, not a fan of that. I hate arsenaling codex.
There, as we see the felling of the crown come down, and the rampant growth safely hit the pitch zone.
I will say margin's getting a little bit low here, where I'm a little scared.
Bird's hand here. Looks like she's gonna tuck it to felling. Have 3 cards left to block with. This is as good of a situation as you can find yourself in, given what's come before as Majin Bay here.
Now we're getting close to pitch stack, but Martin is putting a rampant growth to the bottom, and without the pulsing, without the plume of Evergrowth, like you said, has to be a little more honest.
There is no pitch stack to speak of. Sam, Majin's deck got shuffled by that first Bronze Wagon connecting.
Hearing that perhaps a different card was tucked away, and it's the Arcane Compliance in the arsenal, and not the Codex, which would make the sandbag easily at this point.
I don't think the Arcane Compliance like actually really does anything here, but you probably still play it, make them be more honest.
Does it require specifically an action card that deals Arcane? No. Okay.
Loose mic cable, maybe?
Had to be an action card that dealt Arcane damage. She bricks her arsenal forever.
No, just target action.
Hopefully there's not a problem with the cable.
Like we've seen earlier in our tournament, it will not affect Verdant's triggers.
Pretty powerful point of interaction. Majin Bay here. She may just be forced to clear this compliance for no value if she wants to resolve the codex. Maybe instead just walking 6.
Oh, it was Arsenal Compliance.
Compliance. Here comes just a little bit of a judge call. We're going to go ahead and let Bird figure out just precisely, I have to imagine, how she, well, it's not in, this is all right from death. Important semifinals match. Which hero will take on Gravy Bones in the finals of this U.S. National Championship?
That's a pretty dubious arsenal.
Painful blocking decision from Miss Cabrera here.
Here come the 2-3 blocks. So 2 points of life. Potentially not. Bring back the same card.
Taking
No. Blocks on the Deluna.
What is the wording on compliance?
Down.
Let's take a read. Can you
Fire off the
just get rid of it?
like connects to the Miss Grave first.
Until the end of turn effects. Okay, so yeah, you can just get this out if you want. Oh! Is it go time?
A scour into the blue as well as a single blow to insulate him. Disruptive damage he might find coming at him this round.
We don't have a token to pop, so let's assume the arsenal is an arcane spell. Double ramp would be worth 6, 7, 8. It's 16 amp. Maybe we get an extra ping from the Ring of Roses. Probably not. I would not assume that we get a Ring of Roses that's profitable for the ramping. So it'd be 16 amp. Probably on the stick. So this would come in for 18. It's not enough. Really need, like, another potion in play. That'd be 24 amp. I guess we're still technically short, but it's just a lot of damage. Even with another potion in play. Because she's just going to AB1 all the pings, and then AB2 the big damage. And then she can Spell Void some of it also. But if we get the Spell Void off the table, then she's just dead to random pings. So I guess if we do 26 damage with a single shot, forcing the AB off the table, that's probably good enough.
disruption that disrupts the hand.
But that's all assuming that this is a spell in Arsenal.
The bark skin of the Millennium Tree. Gear up some defense. Make the embodiment of Earth.
Yeah, that makes sense. We were I don't think you were in chat when we were talking about this. When I was talking about the game with Majin prior, one of the things that I was saying was I think you just go for it the second that you have a combo that's not disrupted, and just go for the damage. Just don't be greedy and try to set up the perfect combo. Just the second it makes sense, just go for it and push her life total down, and then you can probably win from there. Just get her in range where anything kills her. And then even then, there's a chance that you just go for it here, push her into the single digits. She's hellbent. You draw up. Strider's kill. I don't think he's played all the Burn Bears either, but also Burn Bear could just cheat him across the finish line. I think he's played 2, but he might only be on 2. You may have my finest sink below. There's an embodiment in play, right? The other cute thing, too, here is he's going to just gain a ton of health. So the game's just going to, like, reset with him being healthy and her being low. Does he not have a spell in arsenal? He might have to do single ramp and then put the amp on a Verdant's ping. Yeah, he doesn't have a spell. The 2 different dice. Oh, that's pretty cool. It doesn't actually use his action point doing it this way. Well, he literally can't Waning Moon. He did not play a non-attack. I don't think the ring really matters. Well, I guess Bird is going to AB2 this. So you're going to gain 1, deal 1. And she's probably not going to commit a full card to AB1ing the last point of damage. Oh. Wait, we're just getting 8 damage off the felling? Yeah, but it does yoink the card in hand.
tough time closing in these post-combo situations against decks like New that are capable of blocking so effectively, easily, and efficiently. He's gonna have to play fair here unless he is one out. Closing this game from here is Storm Strider. Speaking of Burn Rips, Blue American
That was a pretty good rip.
possibly dashing his hopes from a complete random top deck of closing this game.
And that would have been in Majin Bay's next hand after Bird takes this huge hit for 7 and falls down to 2. But the instant speed ability of New taking care of that attack, and there's no spell. That's the card that would have been in Majin Bay's hand. And in response to the felling of the crown, the key pitch into the new hero ability, and that is an oft-overlooked line of text. Banish the top card if it is blue. Bird should be down to 2 here.
Random banishes from the top just all these imagine
Oh, that's crazy.
I mean, that literally just is the game. If that card was on top, it would have been a total of 7 points of damage. She has the Spell Void 2, being down to 2. Bird there, just a massive, massive grip on
The thing is,
the new hero ability.
she just can never untap it again. Like, she's in this weird spot where she's stuck at 2 life, and the Striders are still on the table. Just, it can never tap out. The second he draws anything that, like, does damage, he just gets to park it in Arsenal, and just wait for her to tap out. So, he just has full control from here.
cannot be overstated. Could not ask for more. That's not.
And the question is now for Bird, can she find any single solaces as she resolve? I think 2. I think there's one still kicking around if she has a 3rd in the deck. That's a way to disengage herself from some potential Storm Striders.
Wow, Andre making the combat change here. Just take Bird's arsenal away. Kraken for 6, and now lethal amount of damage. Bird does not get the space she got earlier in this game at 2, and she doesn't get as much card selection here as she would like. She's forced to hold on to 2 cheap in this hand.
The other question is, how many Burn Bears have we seen from Majin Bay? All the Burn Bears sounds like they are gone. Yeah, you can see one being banished. He's blocked with a fair amount of pulsings earlier in this game. There might be one pulsing Aether left. If so, that would be
I think I caught the very last turn of this game where he, like, put
I imagine it was ever
one of the arcane cards back in his deck or something, and then drew it, and then Striders played it.
with this pass over since she could gain
It's kind of crazy that he burned through all of his arcane spells.
some persuasive prognoses and bonds of memory, also ways for Bird to gain life. New banishing action cards from her attack with stealth.
He's counting Burn Bears here.
This game is so close. It is on an absolute razor's edge.
It may look like Majin has a massive lead here, but his deck is incredibly thin. Choosing a target from preserved tradition. I mean, what do you think it's going to say?
Oh gosh. E-Strike.
Oh, my bad. I figured.
No, gonna be Enlightened Strike.
Maybe not. Maybe it is. Nope, it's strike. My bad.
Strike.
My bad.
Say she's pitching them. Both players here so close to a finals berth. Oh my god, the emeritus off the top to keep Bird alive in this game.
I wonder if you're supposed to put back one of your stealth cards that gains life, just to try to get out of range.
Not much.
Because I don't think the damage matters. Like, you're not winning this game because you reduced Majin's life total from 19 to 0. You're winning this game through fatigue. Good night, Goblin. You're winning this game through fatigue or getting out of range so he can't kill you and then fatiguing. I think that's wrong what she grabbed.
Alright, and now Bird able to play blue cards from Majin's Banish, and there's a whole host of options. She's just gonna play the healing potion here. Bird just grabbing other verdants have done well throughout this tournament. As you see some of that eventually come back to bite Martin here as he looks to actually close out this game.
Interesting, she chose to just resolve the healing potion and pass back. Rather than cracking in for any damage on Majin's life, she's decided that fatigue is the angle here.
Could she have played the Scour targeting the rodents? Is it for tokens only?
Yes, she could have. She absolutely could have.
Did you see?
I'm so sad.
Here we are in the second semi-final game of this national championship, and it has been a banger. Thank you to all of you hanging out with us in the chat, watching from home wherever you are, be it phone, computer, television, or Kindle. I don't know. Thank you for joining us. We, of course, at the end of this game are giving away a booster box of high seas. Be active in the chat. Be around when we call the winner. You will have a chance to win yourself a box of the set foundation for this classic constructed format. We got a gravy bone for the finals, folks. You're going to need your high seas boxes to build that impressive looking hero.
Curious how Majin chooses to move forward in this near fatigue state.
All right, let's skip forward just a smidge.
Enough decks left to control.
God, makes sense. It's just going to be
Okay.
the waiting move.
I believe he does have another rampant left in the deck that he's playing towards. Bright says, we're at this. What that part is, I hope she knows, because I don't know.
They once again repeating his phrase, aligning the quality of his deck. A deck that is sterling record in classic construction that's now carrying him to this semifinals match. There's an Aether Arc. It's going to get a little bit of arcane through, but it's going to depend on how Bird plays this next hand.
Getting up to 4 here. Activating new. Banishing a mental block off the top. Getting Majin ever closer to full fatigue here.
You can see a little bit of a smile. Bird thinking that maybe she's found a way around this one. A lot went right for her here. Getting the right cards off the top of the hero ability, the right cards off the
That's another thing about new. I hate the random banish off top stuff. That shit is so cringe.
Unbelievable to see that blue
If I wanted that,
banish.
I'd be playing a mechanologist.
just
I don't want my opponent boosting for me.
moments in TCGs that are so unique.
Majin's going to be seeing it plus some large physical attack on this turn.
Large physical attack, potentially taking a bunch of cards out of Bird's hand, and then giving him that window. What arcane is left for Majin Bay?
I think he might only have rampant growth of 2 packs.
Now that's the question is, I feel like I saw a lot of pulsing Aethers be blocked with early in this game.
She's just going to try to control his life gain past the turn strategy, establishing his healing potion.
Makes sense. She doesn't want to tap out and die to Striders. Because she doesn't know if he's out of damage here.
Attacks.
Bird there did not want to arsenal either of those 2/3 blocks. She wanted to keep all 3 blocks in the hand. Majin here going to gain a life, trigger the Verdants.
She is more or less obligated to cover this, and since this has been, I imagine we're going to see this followed up by the Cadaverous tilling in his hand, cracking across for twice Bird's present life total, and on top of that, he's holding onto a fruits of the forest to use should he find that rampant growth in the next hand set. He still has a plan despite 6 cards left in his deck, despite his back against the wall, life totals immaterial in this game. The master of the wizard class is here, doing his absolute best to impress not only the whole nation, but 5,000 viewers at home. This is 2 of the best players
Okay, Ellie.
entire United States of America, duking it out at the highest level.
Majin Bay doing everything.
The Ellie app.
A win from where there should not be one. In a matchup that many have considered to be dangerous, not Verdant's favorite. He has done very well to get Bird down to such a precarious life total. Is this the moment where Cadaverous Tilling rips all the cards out of the hand?
He has to
That's pretty unlucky that she doesn't have a no block in hand. You don't. Your opponent doesn't have a weapon. You don't need the mask in this matchup. That's your win condition if they have a weapon. You gotta get the last card out of their hand. I think she's just mulling over whether or not she's supposed to tap out and die to Striders. I think giving up the mask is pretty reasonable here to keep your last card just in case of Striders. He has nothing to Striders, though, so he can't stick. Because the arc is on the bottom right now, I believe. So he can't, like, actually really do anything here, right? Oh, he has a Fruits. So he can gain 3 life. Just doesn't do anything, though. Because he needs to put the amp on the Fruits, and that ping would only be for 2. And I mean, she has a card and she has Spell Void, so this doesn't like actually accomplish anything.
No, I don't think so. We would have seen it by now. We've been through this deck a bunch of times. Yeah.
How much life gain is on offer? We have Fruits for 2, Rampant for 1.
Will the Verdant trigger be enough with the growth here?
Let's do some. She's gonna go to 4. She has AB 3, Spellboard 2, capable of covering 5 from a single arcane spell. Magi, 2, 2, 1 life available. That is she have 4. Even if it's impossible, it's enough.
The question is, will the Spell Void be have to be cashed?
Yes.
And if so, she'll only have 81 from that point forward.
Oh, right, she sells a lantern. I forgot about that.
Has the alert and desire to do her best to run this wizard out of threats, out of potential to actually close out the game. And then it's a beckoning misplayed in a dream for Bird Cabrera, and a dream that might just end with her in the top 8. Homage to Ancestors drawn. That's another point of life gain. That changes the math entirely. There should be a sigil that we heard Magic just say that it's been a weird game, but it's also certainly been a good one. As the first multiple turns of this game were odd, honestly. Just challenging draws from both players, navigating through in the best ways they could.
I'm so glad that this game is this fascinating. Both players told me they felt like this was going to be a blowout. Instead, we are 63 minutes into this high-octane, high-tension match.
Both players sitting there flicking cards, thinking high octane. Aware.
Of Swiss, and finally has that true signature crowning jewel achievement to his record, where Bird Cabrera not only becomes a true new champion on the scene just by making it to the finals and punching her ticket into a small and exclusive list of heroes, potentially a living legend's new alluring desire before our very eyes in the very same hall that Charles Dunn brought Briar across the gates. Constantly doing all the math, he's calculating, he's thinking about exactly what those last couple cards are.
Does anyone know what the arsenal is for Majin? I didn't catch it.
5 with an homage to Ancestors. Smash turn over.
Probably just trying to filter out the D-React. Oh. That makes a Ponder token. That's a Strider's target. Okay, so how big can he make this? He can amp 3 because he can't do this on the opponent's turn. And then X equals 1. But he doesn't have the... because it's a red in hand, so he can't pitch to Striders and pay 1. Even if he did, though, does that accomplish anything? Let's say he had a blue. That'd be coming in for 4. It just, like, isn't enough anyways. Just, like, grab a Command and Conquer. It's funny that this is the second game Majin's had in the top cut where the best action he could have taken was just passing. I don't think I've ever seen that in top cut. Maybe like 20 boxes or so. Not that much. Yeah, I think Command and Conquer is good here, because Majin needs to filter out D-Reacts. Just filter out the reds.
potion. That's gonna do it. There's just 2 cards left.
The energy potion might do it, actually, Sam. That is a waning moon activation.
That would be so fascinating if Majin is able to take this out.
He has so few non-attack actions left, and in this deck, that energy potion represents a waning moon activation. A little bit of extra reach should he be able to gain some life.
And remember, Emeritus Scolding off the top is the only reason why we're even still watching. Had that card been left on the top of the deck, had there been anything else in front of it for that next turn cycle, Bird would have been blasted away. So instead,
Distraction, not what you want to see here.
now we're seeing a little bit more of Bird's strategy and why that homage to Ancestors hit the pitch zone, because surgical extraction plus the undertow stilettos are such a complicated situation here for Majin to think about. He does not want to lose a card from his hand here.
He was torn between arsenaling the Rootbound Carapace and Rampant Growth Life, and when you see surgical extraction hit the table here, you have to wish that you arsenaled that Rampant Growth to protect him.
Bird saying that she has reactions now that the Rootbound Carapace has been played. The Undertow Stilettos are likely going to join the party.
Oh, there's such an interesting tree of decisions here, Sam. Had he just arsenaled the Rampant Growth rather than the Rootbound Carapace, she said no reactions. As the player with first priority reaction step, it is possible that Majin could have just taken the surgical extraction with the Rampant Growth tucked safely away in his arsenal. No longer an option.
Yeah, I think since... Oh, no, because then she gets to look at the hand and take a card. Yeah.
Slither used. Surgical extraction, let's go again. Bonds of Attraction looking to bench the top of the deck and the graveyard here.
No way to give us increased power. Barksdale with the Millennium Tree still available. Majin what with? She's looking to threaten extra fatigue here, but this might have been a crucial misstep, letting Majin keep a couple extra cards.
Attraction trigger, she's looking to banish action cards on the top of the deck. Not even action cards, she's just looking to banish cards from the graveyard to gain even just a little more life.
Also get the Aether Arc off the top of the deck.
The board, this is a scary bluff. It's gonna buy it. Taking in a Embodiment of Earth. Nothing to back this up.
Fascinating to use the backing misplay whatsoever to go ahead and arsenal the Codex of Frailty. Is Majin going to be able to resolve the energy potion? Is that going to be the difference maker?
Plow under first. It's serious physical punishment here. Bird's hand is too cheap here. She's more or less forced to block cards in her hand. This is an incredible window for Majin.
What could he possibly draw up to punish? Bird thinking on end, activate new here.
She can attempt to snipe it. I don't think the top card of Majin's deck is blue right now. We saw him pitch, I believe, that plow under into cadaverous tilling some 5 turns ago.
Bird with these 2 cheese has to be careful. She has to get them out of the hand.
Can't tell how many cards, but this could be the Aether Arc on top.
Physical attack out of nowhere. Pass over to Bird's turn.
Arsenal,
Nope, it was the Tilling.
It was an Aether Arc. I think it was an Aether Arc on the top of the deck.
that
Pass over to Bird's turn.
No, it was the Tilling.
I think it was an Aether Arc. I think it was an Aether Arc on the top of the deck.
that Ether Arc might be enough, Sam.
Here's new. Look at the top card. Get rid of the energy potion. What can she do with this new ability? Play the energy
Energy
potion.
potion for more arcane barrier.
Fascinating.
I don't think this Epot does anything.
Has everything he needs.
It's not like
He's got the
she has extra AB in play.
Aether Arc.
Like, she's gonna draw a hand of all blues, right?
Turning on the
Oh, it's not all blues.
Here.
A lot of blues. Time to do the thing, says Majin Bay. The cards are out of deck. Game 2. Here comes the Verdance trigger.
2 life gain, 1 arcane threat. He is going to send 1 arcane across.
Eric can go ahead and AB. First Verdance trigger, 2 life gained.
He can line this up with a big physical attack like he did last time. This game is over, Sam.
This would be unbelievable for Majin Bay. Gains 2 more life.
1.
Another Verdance trigger on the stack. And Bird here by keeping the no block in the hand. Let the pig resolve.
Everbloom life. Gaining another point. Trigger on the stack. Rampant growth.
No life. From the life. Another trigger. That one's just for 1. The next trigger will come in for 7.
Is she playing more than 1 compliance? His last card is... I guess it's a red, so he can't staff here.
I think he has it.
No, he has the Aether Arc. Everbloom's in action, right? Tournament, Majin Bay, Everbloom. It is an Earth action. Waning Moon says does not attack action. So he could have pitched the Aether Arc to stick, and that's for 8. How many compliances is she playing? Because it's open deck list, so he like surely memorizes this. Not Michael Hamilton. Bird. 1 compliance and it's in the graveyard. Maybe he doesn't have another spell in the graveyard? This would be AB1, and then this comes in for 7. So it'd be 1 more to get his staff in. She can AB3 and then crack both of these. Taking 3, go to 1. So it's still not lethal.
Salvo for 7 with a cadaverous tilling for 8. I don't think New has any outs left.
Here's 7. This will buy the spell void. There's still the Mask of Recurring Nightmares. Let's see if Bird tries to sniff it out and pitches away the no block. They're talking about making sure Majin's life total is correct. It is not going to matter. Either Majin blows New out.
That's not a relevant factor to the outcome of this game.
Cards.
In an untimed match in the semifinals, Majin has all the time in the world to sculpt for his final turn. He lost his Tomb of Evergrowth to a Bonds of Agony. He's desperately tried to scrape something together. With all the time he's had to think, to sculpt, to polish, will it be enough? It's time to find out. Bird needs to pitch away that no block.
All that pitch stacking experience from playing years and years of various wizards that were close games is the best combos at the moment, paying off.
Needs to pitch away the no block to even have a chance. With the 2 block on the Mask of Recurring Nightmares, I think the 2/3 blocks potentially could protect her from the cadaverous tilling.
Which theoretically
I mean, there's nothing to think about. We just have to pitch to this and crack our equipment.
Is going to have 2 cards left in his deck after this cadaverous tilling, even if she survives the attack for 8. He will have any card of his choice, likely a blue and an ether arc. If she goes down to 2, then Storm Striders can close.
Because of the Everbloom's effect that we still haven't resolved. Yup, the card on the bottom.
There are players.
Not through the waiting room.
The energy potion just doesn't matter because she has to break all of her spell void.
Maybe 3 spell void just the 1. 3 after the spell void down to 1 goes.
Because now the waning moon comes in for 3.
I don't think she has any outs anymore.
Now she has to pitch away that final card. Because of this final verdance trigger, she has to do it. Oh no, she's using the energy potion. Using the energy potion, keeps the 1 floating, keeps the 2 cards in hand.
Supposed to be a Ring of Roses trigger here too, right?
So important. What card is
Doesn't matter because there's one float for AB1, but
another Evergreen life to the bottom. Now the
Cadaverous tilling. Coming across for 8, forcing every bit of block value Bird has available left to her. This is it. She has no insulation from the Storm Striders with his last 2 cards. Majin is going to put lethal on the stack with Ether Arc. What an unbelievable win condition. What a masterclass that this
that was a really interesting game to watch of how Majin navigated it. That was a very complicated game to navigate.
unbelievable game to close.
Now for a less complicated game to navigate. Opponent presenting AB0. Keck W.
Taking on the lightning crack in the background behind Gravy Bones. It was the coolest thing ever. Also very, very cool. This first play from Monte.
So I was arguing about this earlier with one of Jacob's teammates, Jesse Harper. He was in the chat earlier. Basically, Jacob presented AB0 against Majin in Swiss and won that game, so he did it again in Top Cut. And I believe Majin, don't quote me, but I believe Majin tried fatiguing Jacob the first time and failed. If that is what happened, then repairing into him, I would expect him to not implement the same strategy unless the game was like cursed and you like luck sacked Majin. Because if he knows that doesn't work, he's going to implement a different strategy. And if he knows that you presented AB0 your first time around, then, and he knows that didn't work, then he's probably going to adjust his plan and go, well, if that doesn't work and you present AB0, I'm just going to smork this time. So I think I would have adjusted my strategy preemptively on Jacob's side and brought AB1 just to hedge for Majin changing his strategy. Because he's also not playing a list like Lucas's, where he's got the evergreens and other things that are like really make these matchups easier for fatiguing. I'm not convinced Majin's list is set up to actually do that. And given that it's open deck list, you know that on Jacob's POV. I don't think you bring AB3 in this matchup, to be honest. I think AB1 is enough. Because most of the times that you're taking damage, it's either just like a ping for 1 and you're not going to AB that anyways, or it's multiple sources of arcane and you can pitch into that. I guess there's like times where they're going to shoot your allies and then shoot you for a little bit. But... or it's massive chunks of arcane, and it doesn't matter how much AB you brought, you're not preventing that anyways, you're dead. The question is, of course, what piece do you sub out for the AB, and I honestly have no idea, because all these equipment are super important to the game plan. I lean that it's either the gloves or the arms, but I'm not sure.
He said his deck is misbuilt, did not use his sideboard effectively whatsoever. Maybe you're seeing some of that here, does not care about AB and the versus side. And that's
Now, funny enough, Jacob did present does have a deck with AB3. It's not like he registered a deck that doesn't have it. He has AB3.
Because Berg was working with AB to not give the opponent the chances to just filter. But
I think it's some gold up his sleeve.
Majin's really going to want to lean on that arcane damage there in this matchup. For Jacob, let's get set up. Let's get rolling. Let's get those allies out into the arena. Dead Threat's going to be activated here. That's going to allow for a free golden tipple. And Whaler Humperdick goes ahead and hits the graveyard.
Golden Tipple coming in for 3 with go again, giving Jacob Shaker another card draw as well. No blue card has hit the graveyard this turn. Gravy Bone not online yet.
Blocks from Majin. He will try and get a look at Jacob's hand. Has the first of the boats here. Conqueror picked up as well as a limpet.
Kind of just have to play the port side, right?
Is a blue go against starter. Could go ahead and use it to get the limpet in the graveyard, trade it gold as well. And go ahead and here. We'll be able to activate Gravy Bones. Chooses to do that as well. Nobody's going to draw off the top of his deck as well. Thanks to the activation of Compass.
Majin not ready to see Whaler Humperdinck out there in the arena. It is just Oyston coming down. You know, Oyston's an interesting.
I think we're supposed to hook this turn.
to a lot of great
Wait, how does this have go again?
of this tournament. They really tend to believe that Oyston is only good if it's not ignored.
And both players realize that yes, he has not played a blue card this turn. No blue has hit the graveyard, not allowed to play the War 3 Grave card right now. Small, sort of, not exactly a misplay, but maybe just a missed assessment of the current state of the game from Jacob Shaker, which is I think normal for him. Based on what we've seen so far in the top 8, he has been very, very intentional, very, very clear on what he's able to do. First time we've seen that happen from him.
Yeah, tend to agree.
I'm surprised.
Here we just
I guess the top of the deck is like a red or something. Because if it's like a blue, I just play the port side.
firstly because Conqueror
Even if it's a yellow, I think I play the port side.
go again.
Just play some guys out of the bin.
No ally. And I talked about the need for Jacob Shaker to get out to an explosive start, despite firing off this big ship. I would not quantify this as an explosive start. I think this turn is fairly anemic compared to what we've seen from Jacob Shaker in the past.
Especially in the semifinals game where these big goals were typically followed up by the establishment of an ally, as you're talking about. This time though, just 7. The Arsenal Destruction effect is online, however. That is not related to high type at all. And the gold beta took as well. He has made a goal this turn thanks to Golden Tipple. So even if Majin blocks this out, the hook will not be destroyed. Looks like Majin is electing to just take it, recognizing that Jacob Shaker has presented 80-0.
Oh no, Majin Bay completely blanks Pocket and has the D-React in Arsenal, and he put himself in CNC mode and could just be up 4 more life right now.
Oh my god. Both are players.
Just players absolutely at the top of their game here. Some clown activity for sure.
Does not feel like a small misstep, that giving up 4 damage just freely. If that doesn't make that, we know how small the margins are in Flesh and Blood. However, if you're Majin Bay, it's over. It's done. You cannot fix it. Play the game as it's presented to you. Move on. And honestly, looking at his composure, it seems to be the case.
Bullets can heal back up. That's
I take it back. He's completely devastated. Maybe he just needs a moment, but it's important that he moves past this.
I mean, you have to remember Majin Bay had the longest rounds in this top 8 so far. His quarterfinals match went extremely long. The semifinals match just came off the back of it. That was over an hour long. This man has fought tooth and nail to make it to the finals of US Nationals.
It's crazy how instant Majin's reaction was to just immediately as he reached for it and put it in the bin.
I love Jacob.
Not much of an option for Jacob too much defensively here. We did see, I think, another Whaler in hand. Gonna go ahead and get our Gravy activation.
He's very deadpan, but he's like low-key a shit poster.
You see the Whaler in the bin, and there's a host of blues here as well as another ship. I think Majin will remember exactly how that one works this time.
This time doesn't have an arsenal. So at least the honor of the ship, if it comes down, won't be live because it's the arsenal on the side.
Gold activation to kick things off here. Again, the hand repressed a bit before Jacob finds a limpet.
I don't think we're looting, are we?
a discard
I guess there's no arsenal.
attack.
A little counting here to figure out what the hand is capable of. Are we about to see shift plus ally? Feels like that's
No, because we still got to play a blue.
get rolling.
And there's no arsenal. Just arsenal the ship.
Not to look at the life totals and think about Majin with an 11 life lead. Right?
Maybe draw a card off of gold, but probably not.
If I'm having a hard time doing it, I worry about Majin Day also not doing the same. But like I said, have to move on. Here is Oyston coming in. It is going to get go again from this Avashki and the gold on him. Majin happy to take the vanilla damage here. And this match moving much, much more quickly than previous matches for Majin Day.
I think we know exactly why, Brian. He's found double rampant growth in this hand.
Oh, sheesh.
Zero AV. Before Jacob Shaker can know it, he might just be right into Strider's range.
Yeah, and here's Whaler Humperdinck. That's going to close out the turn here. But for Majin, with that grip, you have to be pretty happy with how this has played out.
Sick Whaler, I'll kill you.
Here, he will play both halves of the pulsing Aether Life. And play double rampant, which would be a total of 3, both of them adding 3 keys. So the pulsing Aether again coming to 10. Opponent on AB0 will go all the way down to 14. That's still a little bit out of Strider's range. Remember, he does have Burn Bear, so Strider's reach in this matchup alongside Waning Moon and Burn Bear is going to be 9 total. Jacob Shaker, no access to something like a Chanted Quiver, no life gain to speed alive.
Wonder what Icelander would have been like with Burn Bear.
Happy to listen to a pure race. There is one out, though, for Jacob Shaker that I want to call out. Throw Caution to the Wind. We've seen that card that Jacob listed before against Azalea. This is a way that you can go ahead and find some AD in the deck and expect each Throw Caution to the Wind capable of preventing probably 3. You expect there's such a large number of blues in this deck. Took the play here, Pulsing Aether Life. Here is the response with the rampant growth.
Healing back up is our Earth Wizard player. He's not getting any Burden's things off of these life triggers because Burden's online is very
I
early
don't
in the game.
think this is coming online. I just don't think this is going to be a long game, Package. I don't see how it is, given how things are set up here.
Pulsing Aether for 10.
Yeah, and this just works. There's no question about
Sheesh.
about the Throw Caution to Win in the hand. And Jacob is quickly falling into some dangerous numbers, but has the biggest ally possible out there in the form of Whaler Humperdinck. Can this hand be unlocked? Not the most resource for Chan, but there is going to be a redraw off that golden tipple if Jacob wants it. Has the boat in arsenal as well.
Once again, Majin Bay is off an arsenal, so that both would just be 8 damage, 8 go again into an opponent that's at 31. I don't think Majin Bay has found more RP damage as well.
Yeah, it's another Pulsing Ether and
Jesus Christ.
life.
What a good draw to Majin this game. Holy.
Turn that would easily put Jacob Shaker into Strider's range. Especially Majin Bay draws a Bird Bear in the next hand. This game will be over before it's barely begun, Brian.
Get it, barely.
Tipple kicks things off here as we suspect he's going to get a refresh on this draw. We're trying to take a look here. Feels like it's
Before Burn barely began.
another blue. We're blue rich now.
Majin Bay is just racing. He said, I do not care. Make me care, Jacob Shaker. Disrupt me.
This is the last time I say it. Plus 4 here feels crazy. It feels like Majin is so far ahead. I promise that's the last time, but man, it's so hard to ignore that fact.
What I'm finding difficult to ignore, Brian, is the fact that Jacob Shaker chose to bring AB0 into this matchup. That is such a massive risk. I think he was counting on Majin trying to send up potions, and he's saying, I'm not going to let you get to that end state. Maybe he wasn't confident in
That being said, given Majin's draw,
he's saying, I'm going to try and
I don't know if AB1 would have really changed anything. And I don't think he's supposed to bring AB3.
This matchup, they were very, very happy having AB just slowing Burdens down a bit and knowing those ally chips. The same way Jacob Shaker has won basically all of his games, could get the job done here against Burdens. Maybe something about deck composition here just left Jacob Shaker uncomfortable with that plan. Heavy side here. Jacob, as he thinks about maximum output on this turn.
he needs to start threatening lethal
I mean, this is going to be another 10, right?
To be at 14 on turn 3 of the finals at US Nationals.
Resources floating here for Jacob.
In the tank right now is Jacob Shaker.
Maybe not. I don't think Majin has the money to crack his hat.
Digging closer to the throw option to the win, as you pointed out, Ryan.
Pick up another card here.
Might just be block for 3, set the ramp,
Here needs that
pulse plus stick.
give some information about the top of the deck. Wants to see if he wants to go ahead and draw yet again off the gold.
Activating Compass after the gold draw. Let's see if he makes use of it. Or he's just going to be understanding what his following turn is going to be.
Ruby Amulet is the play here that does have go again on the back of the Gravy Bones ability. Uses the gold one more time, picks up another card, has double blue now, one resource floating.
Making sure he's doing the math. I think he's going for Conqueror of the High Seas into a Whaler Humperdinck, which he'll be able to pay for thanks to Ruby Amulet.
1-4 produces ship here.
And he has Ruby Amulet plus blue and a red in hand, so that will be enough to pay for Whaler Humperdinck. He's representing 19 damage. I mean, we just spoke about this. He needs to start threatening lethal ASAP. And it's
Oh, that's cute that you can use the gloves on this.
11 on this turn.
Majin gonna go ahead and use the Stonewall Gauntlet here. Yeah, now Majin said it. I didn't have to say it. He's the one who said it. Said wishes. He has 4 more life here. I agree. Texture of the game feels so different because there's a big follow-up coming to that ship on the back of the amulet, the dead threads. We're gonna gold-baited hook and slam that Whaler Humperdinck. Total of 19. Nope, excuse me, we tippled as well. 22 attack on this turn from Gravy Bones.
While still leaving allies on the board, no less.
Yeah, and a card in arsenal.
And yes, of course, death threat means that he doesn't need to pitch the other boat that is about to go and hit his arsenal, so he's very well set up to have a similar turn on the following turn cycle. But Majin, of course,
I don't think I've ever seen a whaler
Here, though, I mean, like,
stay on the board.
get into that
Other than like at the very end of a game where like you literally can't kill it.
may have to have the Storm Strider's kill on the next turn cycle.
and that is the problem. He has been drawing these arcane damage spells early in the game, but you cannot rely on that in this Verdant set. He might go for the E-Strike Go again with the Pulsing Aether line, which would be very, very aggressive, but if he goes for that line and actually just 11 life for it, and then on the following turn does not draw the burn gun, he could suddenly just be facing down massive, overwhelming amounts of damage.
Looks like he wants to get in on a little bit of defense here on the back of that Everbloom life. Of course, blocks for 3.
This is
8 here would drop him down to 14.
Oh, maybe it wasn't a ramp in his hand.
strike, which does clear the Whaler Humperdinck very cleanly. 2-card clear the Humperdinck. But that would be him sort of pausing the race for a little bit, saying, I'm not attacking a life total anymore. I'm going to clear your allies a little bit, just buy myself some breathing room, because you can't always rely on drawing that arcane damage spell. He has 3 copies of Burn Bear and just 1 other Pulsing Aether left.
One benefit though that Majin does have, if he needs to like, if he sets like an arcane damage spell and gets conked again, he doesn't like need to save Striders for that like extra half turn thing because opponent presented AB0. Though ideally you would, just to get like a kill opponent on their turn and never need to reach your last draw step.
He does just have 1 gold here. I think that's important to note. Take a look over on Jacob's side. Flying high for some go again, potentially.
E-Strike here, 7.
Is this not at the hump?
Target. It's looking.
It's looking face.
It's looking face.
Yeah.
I think 7 to face, but Jacob Shaker is
Let's make it clear for stream.
can
At least you get to get your equipment blocks in here.
And that makes it so hard to activate Whaler Humperdinck. You need these cards in hand. And that's why the pace of this game is so important. That early arcane damage making a world of difference here for Majin Bay.
Once again, it really comes down to the lack of arcane barrier from Jacob Shaker's side. Perhaps the 3 pieces of AB are just for the Kano matchup, not so much for the Verdant side.
Jacob Shaker is ready to defend here. Just 1 damage leaking, falls to 13. Majin sets up some burn in the arsenal.
Why didn't he block gloves? Oh, he did. Okay.
For Jacob.
Let's take a look at Majin Bay's hand over here. It has 2 blues and an arcane damage spell in arsenal. He is set up to do a big amp, potentially needs a little bit more resources and life gain, however.
Let's not forget about that plume either. Looks like we have a Gravy activation. Anka goes to the bin. That will allow Dead Threads to activate. That means we can go ahead and pitch, and Whaler Humperdinck comes in one more time for 11 with the gold-baited hook on offer again.
Felling of the Crown picked up for Majin Bay over here. Doesn't want to be the first decompose, but he also has found a root-bound Carapace, I believe. The question is, does he have enough Earth cards to decompose a root-bound Carapace and then also decompose a Felling of the Crown on his turn?
Certainly enough for one decompose.
He could also felling the Whaler and still get the trigger into Jacob.
And remember, the root-bound
Something cute that you can do is play Snag to gank the buff of the attack from the Earth cards.
right now. You can banish 2 of them to a root-bound. Root-bound goes in. You have 2 remaining for the Flying Crown.
Don't forget about Majin's equipment set. Still huge opportunity for that 3-piece combo to have influence over this game.
Interesting banish.
Extra block here. Plume of Evergrowth can produce more damage out of nowhere.
But now he has banished both Rampant Growths from his bin, which means they're no longer legal targets for Plume of Evergrowth.
I'm surprised he banished those.
Majin Bay falls to 9.
Does have a full damage Felling of the Crown here, though, with the Earth cards in graveyard to fuel them. Fruits of the Forest and Gun Carapace themselves.
Is it just not going to matter because he's going to banish all the Earth cards?
Because this demands a card from Jacob
No.
already, and then
I'm very confused by that banish.
if Jacob wants to defend, Whaler starts to look very, very challenging. Rigger, Tipple has a total of 5 block in this hand package.
And needs to bottom 1 to the effect of Felling of the Crown as well. Detrimental is going to bottom the Watching the Grave card potentially, or maybe save it on his turn for discarding into a Gravy.
Dead Threads block also still available, so a potential 6 block could fall to 11 here. Still a safe number, but if you do this, where's your offense?
You would need to crack gold, maybe draw a blue, and then you can send the Conqueror.
That best case scenario.
Probably peak top here, right?
Follow that up. Looking at
Peak top, figure out if you want to hero power
at 9,
or crack gold.
not 13, 9.
You know, I was gonna bring that up, but you brought it up again, so alright.
No, it was just a random number that I chose. It's
True.
clearly not 13.
It's 9.
It's not. Jacob figuring out exactly what Majin is presenting and the challenge he is asking him to overcome.
Another card that's missing from Jacob Shaker's list, which sometimes can be relevant here, is Sunken Treasure, actually. Turning a card face down, denying the Plume of Evergrowth, yet grabbing that card, but not available to him. Majin Bay bringing that up again. We don't need to bring it up anymore. Right?
Because he already played Majin in Swiss and beat him with no AB.
There's a card on the bottom from the Felling, and it is time for that Dead Threads to get in.
I was talking about it earlier. I think that if Majin in Swiss tried fatiguing you and lost that game fatiguing, if I repaired him in top cut, with the composition of Majin's deck, I would not expect Majin to try to fatigue me again. He already knows that doesn't work. Well, he lost to Lucas on every axis of the game. He both got fatigued and died. Like a turn or two before he was going to be full fatigued, Lucas just combo killed him. Lucas beat him on every single axis of the game. But Majin lost in Swiss. So if Majin tried fatiguing him, I'm not expecting him to take that same approach to the game because he knows it doesn't work. So, oh my god, yeah. Oh, I was watching his game. He sauced the fuck out of Jacob. There was a turn where he just had this crazy stack. He, like, started the turn by playing a Pulse Aether Life targeting Humperdinck, and Jacob went to, like, pick up a dice or something to represent the damage, and Lucas was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I got responses. And then he proceeded to play, like, a million other things afterwards, created a ton of triggers, pinged off the rest of the board, and then said, now we'll resolve the Pulse. Amp 8 on the Pulse, kill your Humperdinck. Or Amp 4 on that, kill your Humperdinck. And he just cleared the entire board and a Humperdinck in the same turn, and Jacob's just like, what the fuck? It was just so fancy what he did. But, yeah, I would not expect Majin to take the same approach to the matchup. I would expect him to try pivoting and go, okay, I know I can't fatigue you, so I'm just going to try smorking you. And if I know that he's going to do that, then I'm going to hedge and bring some amount of AB. This was I know this worked against him the first time, so I'm going to present the same setup. But not going a step further of going, well, he knows that doesn't work, so he's going to take a different approach. But this is all assuming Majin tried fatiguing him in Swiss. I don't actually know how Majin played the matchup in Swiss. Burn Bear?
So yeah, that is a Burn Bear, but it doesn't count any potential amp. Of course, Majin Bay has gotten rid of both random worlds in his bin. So this either
No, that's not the right mentality you're supposed to take when you repair into someone. You're supposed to go if this is like something from Pokemon. If you ever play VGC, in Pokemon, you present a team of 6 Pokemon, and then pick 4 of your 6, and then you play best of 3. And that's a big part of playing Pokemon, where you go into game 2 and 3 knowing the strategy that your opponent took the previous game, and then it creates this guessing game of, well, I know that you know that I know type of situations where I know that whatever I did last game didn't work, so I'm supposed to change. But if you know that I'm supposed to change, then you're also supposed to change. And if I think you're going to change, then I should just stay the same. Or maybe if I think you're going to change, then I'm going to change to what I predict you're going to change. And it creates all these levels to Pokemon. Where you don't necessarily need to go that deep in this type of situation, but when you pair into someone multiple times and you can change your beginning of game setup, you are supposed to think about those types of things. That doesn't come up for very often in Flesh and Blood. That's basically only you pair into the same person in Swiss and Top Cut, and that's very uncommon that actually happens, let alone you are in that position to think about that. So that's not like necessarily a skill that people flex too much, but that is something you're supposed to be thinking about. And going into this, you have open deck lists, so you can kind of guesstimate how your opponent is going to present in the strategy that they're going to take. I was doing that the night before, trying to figure out how the Azalea was going to present their deck into Lucas in top 8. Didn't really matter, but Lucas didn't fucking look at any of that shit. Yeah, that's true. If you're like pretty close and you're like, okay, I think something went wrong, but my strategy works, then yeah, you're not supposed to change. But I'm pretty sure he got stomped. But I don't actually know.
a sticky one here for Majin. Maybe just needs to get that base defensive value on the Barkskin if you do want to preserve that arsenal. You know if you fire that card off, you're in a very good spot. You might need a little Storm Striders to block. The odds are in your favor.
You could just block it with Barskin as you're talking about, and just on your turn keep the yellows and the pulsing. Step 2 is question mark, and step 5 is block. For who though, we don't know.
Majin just reaching for 3 cards here. That makes a lot of sense. You could do this, just take the damage from Oyston and hold off and make sure you
I don't know, I'm kind of into blocking chest here, but
fire off your arcane damage.
because I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to block twice with my chest.
At this point. So happy to just hold them. And if you want to use a Barskin for 2 vanilla,
I feel like there's only one more combat step from Jacob left in this game. Maybe there might be 2. It's only 2 if I like whiff.
Up the chain from Jacob. It is just Oyston here, and Jacob willing to give up the hook if Majin wants to give the card from hand. I like that call from Jacob. It's gutsy, but it feels correct to me, and it's given Majin some pause here. It feels like he had scripted out exactly how he wanted this turn to go, but has to at least consider the possibility of giving up the hook. But Jacob made a great call, picks up the gold. We know how important it is for Gravy Bones to have gold going into the next turn cycle, but Majin has plans for these cards.
these end game states regarding gold weighted hook are absolutely fascinating, and we're going to see more and more of that as we move towards heists.
Is Jacob just dead if he doesn't have the prevent damage equal to the pitch value at the top of your deck? Because this is 7. No, this is 6. So he's going to go to 5, and we can pick this back up and play it again with Striders. And stick him again. So this is 6, go to 5, into 7? He's just dead, right? Like, literally draw 2 blues, dead. Or, honestly, we could draw some reds here and it's probably fine too. Because we need 6 resources for this. So if there's a single blue in the top 4, we're good. Oh, there's no stick? Okay. So it's go to 7? I mean, he's still dead, right? Go to 7? I just said this is 7 on the next turn. Because it's going to be 4 plus 3. He's just deceased.
Become a fixture of the meta game.
He has to draw the prevent 3 right now.
Yellow because it blocks for 3, so giving up the life side of the pulsing gate for life.
And it's tough too because Jacob's like, I think he just knows he's dead here.
Would have come on to be a watch.
He is running 3 of that card.
So screen of reasons for
But he has to have it right now.
Ask why the pause package, no aid.
Thankfully, it doesn't matter what the top card of his deck is. Anything prevents the damage.
Shaker has to at least represent throw caution to the wind, and now here's the draw from Majin, and there's no burn spell.
It doesn't matter.
So has a ceiling of 4. Well, I mean, Plume of Aether Growth. No, because of Plume of Aether Growth, he can pick up Pulsing Aether. He does still have the ceiling of 7.
Yeah, okay, it's present. And now it's on Majin to suss out those throw cautions. That is the scary card. It is not in hand right now, Punkage.
He can dig with Gravy Bones, which is an instant as well.
Knows the top card at this point. How much time does Majin believe he has? It probably depends what Jacob Shaker does here.
Absolute nail biter match right now. Humperdinck has been on the field since turn 2 of
Yeah, this is the Humperdinck is crazy.
and this game
I've never seen this.
favor despite that.
And Gravy Bones has
Priority
been
window
out.
here.
I don't think you're supposed to gravy here. I think you're supposed to just swing the Humperdinck. Because I want to respond to what Majin does by Humperdinck. If the top card isn't it, then I guess it literally doesn't matter. But like if this is throw caution to the wind, then
Priority
What's he looking for? Do you risk it all right here for the U.S. National Championship? Do you want to crack that Storm Striders and fire off perhaps your final arcane salvo of the match?
It would cost him Storm Striders and Plume of Evergrowth.
Now here's the other interesting thing. Does Majin even need to go for it this turn? Because he can block. He can, like, block 2 cards. And then just, like, play the Aether Arc and stick. And just get a few more points of chip damage. Assuming there's no go again here. Like, if it's just 11, we can block Chest and 2 cards. I think there's a Command and Conquer in there, so that's a minimum 5 that we're blocking. Even if it's a 2 block afterwards. I think it was a Felling also. That might be wrong. Like, we could just block the Humperdinck, assuming there's no go again here. And if there is go again, we can wait and see if there's go again. Like, I think from Majin's POV, we're supposed to just wait. Show me your moves, Jacob. Prove to me that you have an extender here. And a lot of the times, if you do have an extender, it means that you're going to tap out when you swing the Humperdinck and you don't have to throw caution, so I can just go for it. If it's just a Humperdinck swing, I can just block, chip you, go next, and now you have to have double throw caution.
Still in the tank is Majin Bay. A lot restless. Giving up both Storm Striders and Plume of Evergrowth is very, very risky. Is Jacob doing this to try and dig closer?
Yeah, I can't tell what that Earth Decompose card is. It's either a Tilling or a... This Earth card right here, it's either a Tilling or a Felling.
That means that Majin, in hand, with the help of Evergrowth, can end the U.S. National Championship on this turn. He does not know what we know, Buckage. Can he suss it out? Will he be forced into action? Everything Jacob Shaker does right now could be a tell. Majin Bay looking for any piece of information he could get. Here is a murderous rattling.
Okay, so he has the extender. So, block 2, swing 11. If we block 5 on that, we would take exactly lethal. So if this is Tilling, we can't make that play. But if this is a Felling, we can make that play and just go to 1. We could also... No, that doesn't work.
It's not lethal. I bet he's thinking.
I can't tell what that card is. If it's an Autumn... It might be an Autumn's Touch. If it's an Autumn's Touch, then I just block 6 on this guy. Go to 1.
You might as well. The game's not going on very much longer.
God, I can't tell what it is.
And now, Jacob Shaker reaches for the blues, fires off the lethal Whaler Humperdinck, and for Majin Bay, it's down to one question. What is the last...
Oh, it's an Autumn Touch. Block 6 slam. Go to 1.
We saw
Go to 1 slam.
seen bluffs like this happen all throughout this weekend, right?
There's just no bluff.
But on Majin Bay's side, next game,
Huh? No, what? What? Whoa, 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 whoa. Keep the Aether Arc. What are we doing? Whoa, 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 whoa.
And still has Command and Conquer to offer on the next turn.
Bro, I don't give a fuck about this Command and Conquer.
gives Jacob Shaker time to find the throw caution.
Oh, is it a Scour? Maybe it's a Scour.
Majin's draw, right?
I mean, even if it's a Scour, we can still just Waning Moon him. We can gain 3, Waning Moon him. Put him to 5. It's annoying, though. Putting him to 5 isn't good enough. We need to... I thought it was an Arc.
Do this with the blue. Something like a Burn Bear makes this almost academic.
Potentially even with
There's supposed to be an embodiment here, right? Oh, it's right there.
strategies become inevitable even through a throw.
This is wrong.
And Majin Bay is going to defend here. Likes the safer line, has a huge buff from that embodiment. Double positive defense value here. Blocking.
I don't care if it takes 2 cards. If I'm reading that this card is Throw Caution to the Wind, he's going to block 2 cards, push the Humperdinck. We're in the exact same situation. Except for I'm down 2 points of life. I guess I'm not down 2 points because we blocked. I'm virtually down 2 because I had to block with this. This is like guaranteed lethal by taking the other line. Because we go 1 into 2. If he has throw caution, he prevents 2, goes to 6. So he had to have double throw caution to live here. I go for the play where I put my opponent on exactly double throw caution to the wind or die.
For 8, takes 3, falls to just 3, does Majin Bay.
And gold-baited hook hits the graveyard. The Murder's Ravel did not hit thanks to Barnskin the Millennium Tree blocking it out.
Like, I don't care about the better value here. I'm pretty sure we just win taking the other line through single throw caution.
And let's check Jacob's hand. There is still no throw caution to the wind here.
And this time, no gold to help him filter to find that card. And does he even have the block value to block out this on-hit? Is he holding 5 block, Brian?
That is 5 block.
He's getting rewarded here because of Jacob's hand, but I still don't think it was the right play.
This card was Arsenal last go around. It's an ally. That's a horrible Arsenal, by the way. But Jacob needs to represent that is throw caution.
There's no way he can. The moment Majin sees 5 block and the CNC hit going through, he'll know he's holding 2 allies.
The jig is up. The jig is up. Why would you not defend there? And that means that Majin Bay on this next cycle can go ahead and find a burn.
Also, he can't even swing the Humperdinck.
New U.S. national champion. And there you see, it is the anchor. Here comes the draw from Majin.
A burn spell or just resources. Because of Plume of Evergrowth. He has access
and
to
he's
burn
blue
spell
rich.
always.
He's blue rich. He can do whatever he wants on this turn. And it just lets Jacob move to Arsenal. Majin's going to wait even longer, showing patience. Thinks he has
I understand the logic, but I think that's wrong. You had the guaranteed lethal on the board. Ah! Oh god! What did I do? I hit my keyboard.
CNC hit. If he was holding throw caution today. So Majin Bay playing around that desperately, showing the discipline, showing the patience that you need as a wizard player. No point burning the line as well. You don't have to. He's still winning this life total race slowly but surely. Jacob Shaker down to 3.
Another draw for Majin. Still, just resources. It still doesn't matter. Mongage can defend this Oyston. Everything coming up. Majin right now has all the time in the world, but Jacob forced down this low. Warmonger's diplomacy defends cleanly. Turn passes back to Majin Bay. We're getting to the point where throw caution to win no longer matters.
Yeah, I said that. He has to have exactly double throw caution.
Give him an extra 3 life.
Here's the plume. We're going to reach for the pulsing.
But
ether.
if we're willing to go for it here, it's kind of the same thing, right? Like,
No AB. It has to be throw caution. Arcane damage on offer. It's a fist bump. And Majin Bay.
you're also extending the game by doing this to give Jacob more chances to find the throw cautions to actually live, while getting nickeled and dimed.
It's your U.S. national champion. Get ready for a damn good story time.
The wizard takes Verdance home, brings her across the finish line. US
Congratulations, Majin. That was a great game. That was a great top cut. That was, I think, one of my favorite top cuts I've ever watched. Those are some really good games. I don't always say that. There's a lot of times where I watch and I'm like, this just wasn't that interesting. Like, there are a lot of games where people are making a lot of silly decisions. Like, this was really interesting games to watch. A lot of really deep heroes, interesting plays, a lot of back and forth where it wasn't necessarily clear who was going to win, making it entertaining. This was a very good top 8. I think it was basically just a couple of the Verdance games were a little not interesting to watch. Like like this one was like incredibly not interesting to watch, and part of the other Verdance game against the New was not interesting to watch. So just like, you know, the opponent's trying to fatigue, so like nothing is actually happening. But most of the second one was pretty interesting to watch. This one. Most of this one is pretty interesting to watch. Just like a little near the end, it got a little boring where we're just like sitting there watching nothing happening and both players are thinking for too long. But outside of like the tail end of that and this entire game, this is incredible to watch. Yeah, like the way that Majin closed this game was so interesting to see him map out that game plan and everything. Like, this was a really deep game plan game, which was really cool to watch him do that. I enjoyed the Gravy games a lot just because I'm trying to learn the deck, so seeing all the sequencing and understanding the decision making that Jacob was making was pretty interesting. Watching Lucas lose is always fun. I'm pretty sad that Lucas lost this, though. I was really hoping Lucas was going to take the whole thing home. I really liked his list. It was very Bowl-landery. I'm at some point planning on putting together a list that's like a hybrid of Lucas's deck with a couple of the choices that Majin made. Like, I really want to put the mental blocks plus Crown of Providence in Lucas's list. And if we're planning on seeing mirrors, probably add some potions or something. Anything else worth mentioning? This was a great cast. This was a great top 8. Thanks for staying with me, guys, and watching this. I had a good time with everyone. It is pretty late, though. I think I'm going to start getting off, winding down, getting ready for bed. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I'm probably going to do some more streaming in the near future. Like I said, I'm planning on learning Gravy Bones and Verdant, so I'm going to try doing some stream games in the near future for that. And probably some LL as well, because since I'm not going to Singapore, I can just spend this time learning LL and get a jump on that format and try to get ahead of everyone else. While everyone's scrambling to learn the Singapore meta. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching. Peace, you.